The dreams. The dreams.
I remember my dreams.
The dreams. The dreams. The dreams. The dreams.
How's everybody doing today? Your dad here. I'm actually running to a weird technical difficulty. I'll get that fixed in just a second. But anyways, dad here. Welcome to DILPs, our episode 2, MediaDads. Today we have a special guest, the Claw Official. I'll introduce in a second. We also have Thundurga, as usual. So today we're going to talk about a couple different things. E3's been happening. Also, that kind of introduces media, video games, all sorts of topics that way. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Well, we can hop to it. So I'll introduce our guests. And apparently I don't have a head. You probably can't see me. Some reason my video doesn't want to work.
Do we even need the host of the show? Not really.
Do you need the host? All right, give it a second. It was working before. Any second now.
Oh, there it goes.
Now it's a black screen.
We're getting closer.
We are getting closer. So the funniest, the best part, got old. Game day got old real quick. I got old real quick. I am the old person. Oh, shoot. Oof. Ow. Literally, we tested this out before, right? And it decided to change everything. This is amazing. What do I do now, kids?
Not even my thing.
Panic.
It's so hard to do.
All right, hold on one second. Is it hard to do?
Yeah, it's just the dexterity just isn't there.
I've been doing it for a while.
Hi, Various. Alex, how's everybody doing? Can handle the flipped camera. All right, we're gonna give it
Yeah,
one last
it's-
shot.
They're so used to seeing my camera a certain direction, so it's weird for them to be here and like, what?
That's very true.
not flipped. Actually, in the past half hour, he completely changed his whole setup.
Yes, I moved my entire room, inverted it, and I commissioned a painting that looked just like my other one, but in reverse.
Reverse.
Have you
Joke's
seen
on
this
you, Al.
painting? Have you guys ever seen this?
No.
This
I
has
can see it
been
right now.
here in my stream since I've met you guys, and I've never showed it to you.
No.
All right. While OGD's figuring this out, I'll buy us time.
I appreciate it.
Gotta watch out for the accidental face reveal. Get ready for a clip. Oh, hey, there he is.
I am back.
That's sexy.
This was a gift to me from my ex's sister.
Self-portrait?
It was a birthday gift. It is self-portrait, yes. Very finely done in the Renaissance style. It's a portrait of my face.
I'm not familiar with her.
The Renaissance style. Wow.
The level of detail.
The beauty.
And she really nailed the eye stems, which I'm super insecure about, so really happy she got those sorted out.
Her ability to write with that level of clarity, even backwards, surpasses my ability to write in the normal direction.
All right.
Just gonna keep this here.
Oh, that,
Just cuddle it.
there you go. There you go.
Remind him of better times.
And I'm gonna Jesus. I'm gonna add twitch.tv/the claw and an official on this side and promo my stream since we've made it, people.
That's
you
actually
made it.
going to be the new claw cam. It's always going to be on his
It's
lap.
just-
The camera's
it's
just
just
going to be
this
looking
thing.
down at it.
You should just have that again as the picture above your head, like as your head.
Face reveal.
That's great. It's beautiful. All right. So, again, can introduce our guests here, Thundurga. Go follow Thundurga if you don't haven't already. Great streamer, great dad. Oh yes, you are. Don't be. There you go.
Good dad. Good dad.
The
I'll agree with that.
the most epic sports aficionado I've ever met. I have the pleasure of knowing. And we also have the Claw Officials, another great streamer who really put, at least myself, I can say, together as a streamer. Owe a lot to him. And Claw Deity Extraordinaire, of course. So go follow the Claw Official as well if you want to see some fun, crabby times. All right. Dad. Yeah, Core Dog trying to use data, so that's not going to work. I turned it off. So I guess I want to introduce Claw here, and I know Thunder, we've done this previously for you, and I guess tell us more about yourself and your dad, if you're willing to share.
Me personally, myself. Growing up with 10 legs was hard. No, I'm kidding. So I started streaming July 14th of last year. I'm 30 years old. I am single. I do not have any kids. I've never even come close to having kids, sans a few scares from old girlfriends. Oh, what else about me is critical information. I've been told I'm funny, but I don't believe it myself. I've been told I'm a good streamer. I kind of believe it myself. Yeah, I do have a dad. I do know my dad. That might have been like a screening question that we should have addressed.
Well, I mean,
time.
it came up
How
last
much do you
time.
know about your father?
It came up last time with Grim. Grim didn't really know his father, so that was a question we addressed as well.
Man, I always
okay, you just-
assumed Claw was born from the Force. Consumed
Yes.
him from midichlorians.
My last name is Skywalker.
Oh God.
Not because I'm related, just because I chose that.
Oh, just like what's her name? Don't even get
Yes.
started. No,
Ray Star Wars.
it's a quick
We
way
can
to
start
get.
that argument.
I wonder if you can get canceled by saying you like the Skywalker saga best.
It's a quick way to get banned in my show.
Right. Yeah. So, what about good memories? Whatever memories you want to share, really, about growing up, your father. I mean, I know you say you're not a dad, but I think the whole point is we all have dads here. We all have family here. So, tell us a little bit about that.
How do I describe my father? The Claw father. My dad is a principled man. of which his discipline has a capacity, right? So he it works with tile and marble, manual labor type job, and he's been doing it for like 30 years. Wake up early, get in the truck, get on site, do manual labor for 10 to 14 hours and come home type dude. When he was young, he was kind of your run of the mill 80s degenerate, I guess. 70s, 80s degenerate, probably playing too much pool at sketchy bars and doing blow in the bathroom. I don't know. He was a degenerate person when he was young.
Sure.
And he late after he had me, probably when I was somewhere about 4 years old, the man found God. Completely turned his life around. He turned from this degenerate cokehead into a man of Christ, and a man of principle. So growing up, he was always very, highly principled. What he believed in firmly, and nobody was going to change that. And disciplined to, when I say disciplined to a capacity, he wasn't insanely disciplined in the fact that, like, he's a strict workout routine and a strict diet and a strict principle on life that, led him into a successful path, but disciplined like one thing at a time, So if he was doing a project or staying convicted to an idea, he would remain convicted and disciplined to that idea until it was on to the next thing. So other than that, I mean, very dad-like, New Balances with the high white tube socks, jorts, all your typical 90s identifiers of a dad, goatee that he shouldn't have, widow's peak that he shouldn't have, all that stuff. It's kind of a typical father, I guess.
Wait, is a widow's peak a dad thing? I was just born this way.
I used to have one.
No, my dad's widow's peak looks like V for Vendetta. You do not have anywhere near widow's peak.
We got the goatee going on. It's really to make me look skinnier, but.
So memories though, and hi Turbo, hi Sweetie, hi everybody. Memories though, like, I don't know, mostly good memories. I didn't see my dad a lot because he worked really hard, and when he come home from work, he would just kind of go in his room and watch TV until he fell asleep. So, is that trauma? I don't know. But yeah, a lot of good fishing memories. We'd go out to the piers, and we were too broke to have like a boat, so we would just go out to like the public docks and stuff and do a lot of fishing. And he taught me a lot of that. A lot of good camping memories as well. And a lot of growing memories as well. I remember the first time my dad caught me looking at inappropriate content on the one family computer that we had. I was a young kid, and I got the longest lecture. Remember, this is a man of God.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. So, that was a traumatizing experience in and of itself.
Do you have one of those stories, Thunder?
So actually, that actually spawned me a question.
Spawned you? Oh, or spawned you a question?
Yeah, it's like, So like, I always grew up in that type of house club, but for you grew up in a situation where, like, so was he he find Jesus like when you were a kid? Was it before you were born? I might have missed that. But
so I've lived this very weird 50-50 two-face flip of a coin lifestyle, right? Because my mom and dad split up when I was very young.
Yep.
Like 3 or 4 years old, right? And so I lived with my mom until I was probably like 10, something like that. My mom has never been a lady of the cloth. I don't know what you call a Christian woman. She's never been religious. She's never been the principled or disciplined type, just kind of like a wild stallion, if you will, right? And was that in my house or somebody else's house?
That was probably my children.
Okay. Making sure I didn't invite anybody over and forget about it. No, I'm kidding. So I had this like highly wild atheistic lifestyle on one half with my mom's side, and then my dad's side, I moved in with him when I was about 10, and I 50-50'd between the two, back and forth. So I went from like disciplined man of Christ, like riding a Harley Davidson to the bar at midnight type lifestyles, So no, he hasn't. He's been like that for most of my life. Yes,
Okay.
as I remember him and know him. I don't know much of the degenerate side, but he's gone through phases where he's fallen off his religious tendencies and kind of delved back into some of his old habits. But they're very short periods in which he's done that. So
So I guess the question would still apply then, right? So having that split type of influence from both parents, right?
hmm
Did it ever result in like resentment, like you felt like dad was too strict, or you felt like mom wasn't strict enough? Like, did it cause like some kind of like frustration towards dad sometimes?
Oh yeah, do I resent my parents? What a question.
Well, no, it's
Yeah.
like, I grew up in a really strict household, right?
We
So like
charge
as you get older,
$150 an hour, right?
like
Is there a
did it like
calculator
was it
going on?
yeah was it like just like, there were days where it was just hard. It was hard to do stuff with dad because you knew dad was a little was going to be more strict than mom, or
So what was interesting for me is I was living with my dad throughout middle school as I was like coming to age, and right before I went to high school, I don't know if this was a subconscious tactical decision or whatever it may have been, but I decided to go live with my mom, my more lenient, less caring mom, as I went into high school. Right. And my dad was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah." And I don't even remember the reason why I decided to do it, but that resulted in me having a crazy high school experience, you know, being with my less stringent mother instead of my dad. So
Right.
yeah, no, I don't think I resent either of them for it, particularly in the manner of like that question, because I kind of got to choose, I guess, who I would be with, or if I wanted to be degenerate or if I wanted to, be a good person. And
yeah.
that 50-50 result is what you get here.
Well, that
That's why
lends
I'm
a
such a
interesting
weird person.
question. The way you phrase that, degenerate or a good person. So who do you determine to be a degenerate, and who do you determine to be a good person in that between the two?
So I have several siblings, right?
Okay. No. But
Um,
it
my-
sounds like you pointedly said one of your parents is a degenerate and one of yours parents is a good person. That's
oh
what,
yeah,
the
my
way
mom
you
was
phrase
a
it.
degenerate all my
Okay,
life.
okay.
All my life. She has been all her life too. It's actually a really sad story. We won't get into the story of my mother.
Okay.
But yeah, she's been a degenerate, and I have a bunch of siblings. Um, with the
Everybody
exception
drink.
of me and my brother. That's funny. There we go. I got my coffee. With the exception of me and my brother, my brother and I, have never been in big trouble. We've never, gotten addicted to drugs or been to prison or anything like that. All of my other step siblings have either been to prison, had too many babies at 16, OD'd on drugs, like your standard typical signs of societal um, degeneration, which is weird. And we're the only two that ever latched onto video games early on in our childhood. So video games might have had something to do with us being the way we are, or maybe it had something to do with us living with my dad specifically. Those are the only two catalysts that we have separate from our step siblings.
Take notes, Congress.
Video games. I mean, for mine, there's a lot to cover there. I mean, for me, video games I always thought actually held me back. 'Cause I was huge into sports, and I let video games take care or take over for what I cared about doing for like sports and schooling. But I find it interesting what you say about, because both of you had a different upbringing than I did. I had a very, like, I'll be honest, I was raised Jewish, and I had a very like lax being raised kind of sentiment, right? So it's kind of interesting to hear the take in. My wife too was raised very strict like you guys, of where you fall now too, because both of us have fallen to the same place. So we're both atheists. It's time. But it's an interesting take to see like how that works. But it's also nice to know like the fishing trips and all that your dad sounded like a very, like, the classic, like, tough dad who manual labor and had those big gnarly hands who could, like, open a pickle jar with one finger, kind of dad,
Yeah.
right?
Very stereotypical dad. Not like a big buff guy though. Skinny dad belly type guy, right?
Sure.
But yeah, like a tough Christian man, manual labor, principled, isn't really quick to anger, but if you can piss him off, you will see, a grown man being pissed off. Kind of that like that ideology of what what like just a man is, And it's weird how we
Right.
never like live up to that ideology. And this is a very weird concept for me to deal with, right? Because as I remember my dad, he probably was, let's see, how old was my dad when he had me? He was young. He was like 20 something, right? So when I was 10, he would have been my age now. So I remember him very well from me being 10. I know that if I was friends at the age 30 with my dad who was 30, like if I knew him and we were the same age at the same time, I would not be friends with him. So it's very weird understanding that like concept in retrospect, and to like understand like that was my ideology of like manlyhood. But if I were to meet him at the same age at the same time, I wouldn't look at him and be like, yeah, that's a man's man,
Right.
Sorry
And
if I just went off into some crazy perspective.
no, that's great. I mean, I guess you say you want to be friends with them, but do you find yourself becoming in a way like your father in a little bit in certain aspects, or yourself, your parents in general? Because I have concepts like I do a sigh now, and there's other things I do. Like these sighs, and I don't see it, and Kate and my wife will call me out and be like, you sound just like your dad. And it's not to say that's always a bad thing, not to say that's always a good thing, but you always take those concepts of, it's hard to break away from those concepts. So I'll even go further before I let you answer that, as my dad is not his dad, and my mom is not her parents. They both had pretty rough childhoods. My dad was raised by, he was a major in World War II who never rode a bike, taught them to ride a bike, never was there, was a huge jerk, never said I loved you or hugged them. My dad's opposite, very loving and forward person. So with that being said though, are you the opposite? What haven't you taken from your parents or your father in particular?
I definitely, in some senses, feel like I'm becoming my dad, but very subtle senses, not even identifiable to like people that know the two of us, just in ways that I understand growing up with them, but not as much as most people, because we had very split time, and the day that I turned 18, I moved out of my house and I've never been back, right? So for the past 12 years, I haven't spent very much time with my parents, couple holidays here and there. I think the longest period of time that I've went without seeing my dad, probably 3 or 4 years at a time without
Really?
seeing him. So yeah. So my family has this weird curse to where like we're not close. We don't resent each other, but we can just go so long without ever seeing each other, and it's weird. It's different than anybody else I've ever met, because it's either like your family is completely blown up and separated, or you're really close and you do family reunions. But we're this like weird, like we can just go long times without seeing each other type family, and we don't do like big reunions or anything like that. So yeah, to answer the question, in subtle ways I can see it, kind of in just small demeanor ways or humor ways, but it wouldn't be recognizable to anybody from the outside. Like if I had a wife, I don't think she would notice.
You'll get there. What about you, Thunder? Because I feel like we touched upon it a little bit, but I think now as you're a parent, there are things that you will rely on based on what you've known your parent to do. And I think that's also a big factor of what drives you as you get older to be more like your parents.
See, it's weird, right? So I did grow up in that really strict household, right? But I wouldn't say like kind of similar to what Klaus said. My dad was never like a hard party or anything, and he didn't necessarily find Jesus along the way, but he had a really rough childhood. Grew up all over the country. His parents split up when he was really little, and he had a lot of abuse he had to deal with, and things like that. So when I was a kid, he didn't know, like he had no idea how to be a dad, right? So he kind of just applied whatever knowledge he thought made sense with how he was treated, because he didn't, and probably still doesn't know how to process, because he's never gone and gotten himself the kind of help he probably should. But so in a lot of ways, how I want to raise my daughter, I take the opposite of what my dad did when I was younger to apply to my kid now. But now the man that my dad is, years later, that's the man I aspire to be, when my kid is older. Like it's weird to play with those two sides, right? To strive to be nothing like how he used to be, and strive to be what he is now. It's really weird.
It's a weird kind of dynamic that you have there, kind of the concept between the two of the person who they are and the person who they are now. I also note is, I guess that helps then, what is your memories of your parents and things that you grew up with? And it sounds thunder too. It sounds like, would you almost have better memories of your father or your parents now than you would previously? And what would those be then?
Yeah, so like when I was younger, like I really resented my dad, didn't want to be anything like him. Like I saw him more as like an enemy than a father, right?
Ooh.
So almost everything I did, I tried to do to like in spite of, or like to show that I was better than what he thought I could be, right?
Right.
But then, yeah, now like
Did that make
arguably like my dad's one of my best friends. Like he works with me on every project. Like we spend all sorts of time together. But like growing up, I wouldn't say like I have like a distinct memory with my dad, like outside of like a fishing trip or watching a baseball game together or something like that. Now like all the memories that I'm gonna have like cherish are the memories that I'm experiencing now, right?
That's very interesting. I mean, do you also wonder if that made you more of who you are because of in spite that you wanted to prove him wrong or be better than what he was, and you having that awareness to be able to make that decision and push forward through that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like as a kid you don't process it as that,
right.
And then you get older and then you realize, oh, that's why I did some of the things that I did, because hindsight's 2020. That's why I was frustrated. But yeah, it absolutely made it. It's weird, right? The things I did that, even though I didn't necessarily like them, now they're things that I love doing, right? Like it's just weird. It's weird how stuff like that works.
That's an interesting perspective, because like when I look back, like my dad's made his fair share of mistakes, but I can't think of any specific spite that I've ever held for him or resentment, except for any like beat my ass, but that's because I was hit as a kid. The belt, not a good thing. Anyways, and that's a weird generational change from our generation.
You're not alone there. There was the belt, there was the wooden spoon.
My mom was a sadist. She had it was half of a wooden cutting board that they drilled holes into for aerodynamics.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was my mom's side was a really rough childhood. My dad would, it was very few and far in between. But if I did screw up, I would get the whooping.
The more and more of these I've done, and more people I talk to through streaming especially, and the stuff comes up because being a dad, the more I realize how lucky I am to the childhood that I had and how rare it actually ends up being, which is very interesting, because I remember being like spanked twice in my life, and my dad was like, "No, I can't do this. I feel terrible," and he couldn't do it. My mom was beaten to half death like every other day, but my parents never laid a hand on me, and she had it like coat hangers and all. I was very lucky growing up, and I was a terrible, an asshole of a kid. So bless my parents for sure. But
Claude, did you ever get the since sounds like we had relatively simple. Did you ever get the "this hurts me more than it hurts you"?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the worst line
Yeah.
ever.
It's like
you're sitting there
bullshit.
bent over with your ass getting beat. I'm like, bullshit. This
Yeah,
hurts
it's like-
you then more than what? Where
I
did
don't
you
give
hear
a
that?
I don't give a shit about your emotional pain.
That was my first
what he-
example of propaganda right there. Was this hurts me more than it hurts you? Okay, what corporate America says to their employees.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but word, right? Yeah, I mean, like that. Isn't that counterintuitive to what that's saying? But
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, what about you then, Claw? I mean, memories. I mean, recent, old memories. I mean, maybe it is your trips, right? Because I mean, that's a nice
Yeah.
thing to do. That's amazing.
I mean, everybody knows about my recent trip to Mexico. And if
Everybody.
you don't know, I'll get you guys filled in. But no, so like my grandfather passed away from COVID, right, recently, and my dad and my grandfather had a really strained relationship because my grandpa was a real abusive dick to my dad when they were young. He was just a total piece of shit, right? And as he grew older, he left my grandma. He found a new wife. She kind of changed him into a nicer person. He was from Detroit, but she was from Minnesota, so she was nice and he wasn't. And he taught her to be nice, or she taught him to be nice. And so, like, he kind of became less of a piece of shit as time went on, right? So my dad and my grandfather kind of like reunited, and then like my dad would do something sketchy or something, and then they would fall apart. They'd reunite, and then my dad would probably owe him money or something, and then they'd like fall apart. So after my grandpa passed, somebody told me that my grandpa had a small fortune that he didn't leave to any of us, something like $1 million or something, which is quite a bit of money in our circle of family. Nobody in my family has $1 million, right? But whatever. And he didn't leave it to anybody. And me, I didn't care because like I didn't have a close connection with my grandpa because my dad didn't have a close connection with my grandpa. The two were synonymous when I was a kid, right? So I'd have like these on and off memories every 5 years of meeting my grandfather, right? So when he passed, though, I think it kind of kicked my dad's reality sense into play. He's like, oh shit, I didn't have a close relationship with my dad, but I have the opportunity to have a close relationship with my kids, right? And not long after he passed, I was with my dad when we got the news too. That was a little bit of a blessing. We were hiking a very hard trail in the mountains where I live, and we were like 7 miles into the trail when we got the call. But we finished the trail and we had all that time for introspection. It was kind of a blessing. But anyways, I think he kind of figured out I have time to spend time with my kids. And a couple weeks later, he's like, hey, you want to go fishing in Mexico? I was like, hell yeah, I want to go fishing in Mexico. So we went to Mexico for, I think it was about a week. Went fishing out there. Fun story about that for you guys. Anybody that likes fishing. Do you guys like fishing?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is it just me?
Absolutely.
Okay, just wondering.
I'll hear a story.
We wanted to go inshore fishing, right? And catch some snook because we're in Mexico. Snook's illegal in the States most of the time, so we wanted to catch some snook while we were in Mexico. And we show up 6 a.m. at the dock. The guys are ready to go. You got the captain, you got the deckhand. It's this tiny little boat. We're like, all right, tiny little boat, whatever. It's perfect for inshore. Let's do it. We go. We try and catch bait. We don't really catch bait, so we use the pre-bait that they already have set up. We start driving out into the ocean, and I was like, he's probably gonna like turn somewhere, and there's gonna be a little inshore. We just keep driving into the ocean, just further and further. The land's getting smaller and smaller, and we're like, we're not going inshore, are we? We're going deep sea fishing, aren't we? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. So I guess there was some sort of misunderstanding. I had never been seasick my entire life. But I grew up in Florida, deep sea fishing trips, inshore, outshore, big waves, cruise ships, never been seasick until this moment. Until this one trip in this tiny boat in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico with like 6-foot swells up and down. It's like, this is the time I'm going to get seasick.
Oh, no.
So I threw up like 3 times. And you can't go back to shore. It took us an hour to get out there, right? You can't even see the shore. It's not a thing. And in order to pee, because this is a tiny boat, right? You have to like cock one leg off of the boat. This is great for people from chat right now. You have to cock one leg off the edge of the boat, and then you have to like pee off the side of the boat, and then like get back in, right? Because you can't stand because the waves are too constant, right? You can't stand and pee off the edge of the boat because you'll
Lose your
like fall off.
balance. Right.
Yeah, and the side of the boat's like a little too high, and you don't want to show the poor captain and deckhand your. Anyways, whatever.
Speak for
So
yourself.
like, yeah, you have to kind of like get offside of the boat. So I had to pee, and in my delusion, I go back, and on the front of the boat, let's say this is the boat, on the front there's a little like up part where you can like sit. So I sit down for a second, and in the time between when I sat down and when I went to go reach for something to hang on to, because you always have to hang on to something because you're hitting 6-foot swells all the time. The boat hits a 6-foot swell before I grab something to hang on to. And when I tell you guys, I was like an Acme cartoon, fucking coyote, wild coyote. I went up and the boat went down, and I floated for a second before I came crashing down. I am
Oh,
now
God.
1 inch shorter, I swear to God. That's how much compression happened there. And I don't have a butt. I look like a frog standing up with pants on. So like there was no cushion, just pure spine and backbone on the boat. And to make it worse, after that happened, I screamed in total agony. The only people that could hear me were the captain, the boat hand, and the seagulls, right? I fell forward and busted my knee on the grates of the bottom of the like fiberglass painted boat thing. And I still have a scar, I think. I'm not going to be able to lift that up, but I still have a scar there. Starts bleeding and all that stuff.
Oh,
So I'm
geez.
seasick. I'm in the middle of the ocean when I didn't expect to be in the middle of the ocean. My leg's bleeding, and I've already thrown up like 3 times. My dad's like, we're like 50 miles out. Total blue water, all that good stuff. And he's like, you know, if you want, what might make you feel better is if you jump in the water, right? You get some salt water, get refreshed. I'm like, Dad, 20 minutes ago, you just caught a shark 6 feet long. You just caught a 6-foot shark. It's sitting under us right now in the boat. I'm bleeding. You want me to jump in the middle of the ocean?
He's like, you got a
50
good will?
miles out to sea with 6-foot swells out of a 10-foot boat that's holding the 7-foot shark that's sitting underneath you. You want me to jump in the fuck? Do you want me to die? Did you bring me out here to kill me? He's like, no, that's actually probably a good now that you say it. No, I understand. But the best part of that story was of the stuff that we did catch. We got to take it back to the resort, and they like finished it and like cooked it and served it to us like at the resort, which is so cool. So we had like barracuda and tuna and all this like really well prepared fish. So yeah,
That's
I'm
awesome.
happy. I think he wants to go back. He messaged me the other day. He's like, you want to go back to Mexico? I'm like, Dad, we can't go to like somewhere else. It's very abnormal though, because like I grew up very poor. My dad's been poor my entire life, with the exception of a little business he ran for a while. But like definitely not privileged by any means, not past the color of my skin, right? So like for him to be like, you want to go to Mexico? I'm like, who are you? How's this happening? But yeah, no. That I will keep on to that memory of me being tortured in the boat and still having an amazing time because I got to spend it with my dad.
Well, that sounds amazing. And I mean, has it made your relationship better, you think, then with your dad?
Oh yeah, every time we spend time together, you know, our relationship gets a little bit stronger because he was working so much when I was a kid that we didn't really get to spend time together. If we weren't camping, fishing, or at church, I never saw the man. And I lived in his house, you know.
Right.
But that might have been my addiction to RuneScape too. You know, it took a lot of time away from my. No, I'm kidding.
RuneScape.
Sorry, back in my day, you had the family computer. Not everybody had all these techs. You had the family computer. It was a beige Dell in the house, right? And it was only one.
So, I wanted to talk about the. You mentioned that the computer, or you mentioned that you're being caught earlier. With that, I remember that I had 2 times, and I remember. So I went to my dad's store. I don't know why. I don't know what the thought. I found a Playboy magazine, or a couple Playboy magazines in his drawer.
Sears
So I'm
magazine?
like, no, it was like an actual Playboy. And I remember I took those and I waited like a month, and I like looked because I was pretty coy. Like, well, if I take them, he might notice. So I'm gonna wait a month. I'm gonna like memorize how they're laid out here, and if they're in the same exact position in a month, then he obviously stopped looking at them. And so what I did is I went, and a month later, and I took him. And then, as 12-year-old boys do. And then I had like friends come over sometimes and whatever, be like, oh yeah, go look at this thing. You have to show it off. I was super smart before, and then an idiot then, right? And then I accidentally left him somewhere, and I couldn't find him. And then my parents found him.
Oh no.
And my favorite is I had the talk and be like, women are not objects and blah, blah, blah. My dad have to have that talk with my mom also present. Because because I realized that
Mom didn't know.
she must
He's
have not
explaining
known.
it to you and his wife at the same time.
Then must have also been for him. Like she put like why do you have these, Michael? Why do you have these?
No, see, that's when he's like, all right, boy, time to fall on the sword for dad here. Found these out in a dumpster. They're not dead.
Yeah. So my dad was a good Christian man, but he's also a deviant at times, right? So I think part of his brain, because he didn't know how to work the computer, probably wanted to ask me how to get to those websites. He's like, shame on you, but like what websites specifically? But shame on you.
Disgusting.
But seriously, how did you get these? How did you get these?
The family
pull up
computer
and
and
dial up?
history. Like, shame on you. What websites should I avoid again?
He couldn't have pulled up history. He would. He barely know
I've done that to my
anything
parents, and I regret it every day.
Okay, do you guys remember when YouTube Red came out?
Yes. I remember the day. I remember the day like my firstborn son was born.
So I don't know. I'm not saying any. I'm not accusing my dad of it. I don't know if he meant to go to YouTube Red, but he had Red too.
Yeah, no,
So
he knew what he was doing.
So
Red too.
You ever have those retrospective moments where you think about something that happened in your childhood and now you're an adult and you're like, oh shit. Like they knew what they were doing.
Oh, that's like every movie too that's released for kids. That you're like, wait,
I can't.
you watch it now, and you're like, wait, this scene? You're like, what?
I need to go on a binger. And like rewatch all my childhood movies so I can understand.
It can ruin them sometimes. Well, and then you're like, kids don't understand it, and it's crazy that like, wow, like we didn't catch
don't
this.
crack open like Peter Pan.
It's funny how they make these movies. Like these stupid kids will never understand this,
It's true.
but they're like low key right. Like they didn't.
Yeah, no kid will catch that. I mean, the only thing we caught as a kid was like, do you remember watching what was it, Little Mermaid? You're like, he's got a boner. Remember that? And like the one scene,
yeah. They digitally altered that.
Wait, somebody had a boner in Little
the
Mermaid?
priest
Mermaid.
when they
Yeah, the
got
priest.
for like a scene, and it's legit. And when they got married, and then like in Lion King,
No
they're like, yeah, there's
way.
sex written in the sand. Remember that? Sex written in the sand.
There
I
was
do
also-
remember that. My
was-
stepmom caught that in real time. So
There was
we didn't catch it from the internet. She's like, wait, what the fuck? Rewind it.
they had that happen. They had that happen, and my parents got that one too. Yeah, there was they also had that happen in The Rescuers, where they just
Yeah.
kind of like in Fight Club,
That one was
literally
subtle,
just
though.
one frame.
Yeah.
It just had a naked lady in it.
Well, they put a penis on the cover of The Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid too. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so my my
pull this up?
mom, she like she hoarded VHS tapes,
Here,
right?
I got you.
So after I saw that on the internet, I was like, there's no way. I went to her house, found the VHS tape. I'm like, sure enough, that's a penis.
Yep.
Like right on the cover of the VHS
There was
tape.
that that's
like,
a
the
penis
sheer-
gif.
Yeah, exactly. The sheer balls of that artist to just shaft that thing right in there.
Shaft that thing. I love that for like when they do that. I just love it. I got to see this, by the way, Thunder. I have not seen this.
Yeah. Okay.
Could
I'll
you
pull it up.
imagine how far the cancel culture would go on Disney today if there was a dick on the front cover of Frozen?
Any of that stuff, that would be insane.
Any of it. Any
Yeah,
of it.
like somebody catches, the sex in the sand. Any of that.
See, the thing is,
There would be
you
moms
think
in
that
the streets.
in the super conservative era of like early 90s, like there were people who called for it, and Disney just told them to get bent.
Well, I think
Well,
it's
Twitter
but
didn't exist.
right,
That's
right.
true.
There wasn't the large gathering of Karens to be able to get angry.
No mob mentality. Ugh.
So
We don't have to get into cancel culture though. That's a whole nother podcast.
yeah, true. I do want to call upon, speaking of like media that we have here, kind of like dads in media, and dads in the media and how they're portrayed and how it's changed over years. And I know Thunder, you brought that up lightly before off stream about how it's changed. Because growing up, it was every dad was the big fat guy with a hot wife and a bumbling idiot, right? I mean, that was just every dad in media. If he wasn't fat, he was Chevy Chase, or Goofy. But that's what it is. So I want to know, at least I'll let you start it off, Thunder. What was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so like I remember as a kid, like I think my parents might have commented on it, but I remember like even commercials, right? It was always outside of like infomercials where white people can't do anything, like, oh, I'm spilling all the stuff because I don't have this as
I'm
seen on
holding all
TV
these
product.
paper clips. I don't get a paperclip holder.
Yeah, how do you paperclip? No, I remember like it was always like man/dad is in control, right? Like he is the leader, right? But now in the commercials, it's like man/dad is the bumbling idiot, and it's the strong, empowered mom or wife or whatever that's leading it. It's I don't have a problem with it. I've just noticed in my own lifetime that paradigm shift, right? Like,
Right.
there's not very many Tim the Toolman Taylors anymore,
That's
right?
That's
Just
true.
wreaking havoc outside of Last Man Standing. But that character doesn't really exist anymore. Like that dynamic has changed in television.
But what would you call him? Because he was
Probably-
a bumbling idiot.
He was a bumbling idiot, but he was also like,
Man's man.
for being so dumb, he was very successful. He had everything he ever wanted,
It's true.
right? All he had to do more power, right? That's all he did.
Right.
Yeah, but he never had to do anything, right? But he
True.
was still successful.
Also, the
God,
most
how
also
simple were we?
think about his
Arr?
counterpart.
TV show.
Who was his counterpart? Right? It was what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he was the much more grounded, more emotionally grounded character in the show, and he was emasculated and made fun of by Tim for being like the softer one or the one that is more thoughtful, right?
But then he would show the respect to someone like Wilson, who was still the same way, but you never got to see Wilson's face.
That's true, right?
So he was. Oh, so Wilson was never a real person.
The only reason we respect clause
I'm
is
gonna
we don't see
install
his
a
face.
fence.
Yeah, as soon as Claw leans down, a little white picket fence pops up.
That would
Yeah.
be amazing.
I'm gonna install a fence, and it's just gonna be like a hat, not even my eyes, just the hat. And that's gonna be my next stream.
That's your face reveal.
Wilson. That's a brand in and of itself. Any streamers out there want to rebrand? Just put a fence next to your desk, put on a bucket hat, and call yourself Wilson.
And just say Heidi Ho.
Just
Howdy,
say
howdy,
hi-ho
howdy.
a lot.
Yeah.
Heidi Ho, old game dad.
But there's a bunch of those shows.
Who are modern dads in media right now? Like, I don't consume media.
You want to
as
know
much
one?
as
You want to know another one
Walter
that's?
White.
people are.
You want to know another one that's bad too? It's a great show. I mean, it's a pretty good show. Modern Family. So
Never seen it.
the dad in that, I can't remember his name, but he does play the bumbling. I mean, he's a nice looking guy. He's not like as the fat, balding idiot, but he comes off as an idiot. He's very naive and like not aware. He's successful. His wife is attractive. She has her own problems, of course. It's the same thing as like Married with Children, right? But
Oh God.
yeah, I mean, it's that same concept, the bumbling, but usually there was also a commercial. Do you remember that commercial? I can remember it was like some cleaning product, what if bleach or whatever, like Pledge or some crap or whatever. And like the mom leaves to leave the dad to take care of the kids. And like she comes back with like a plunger on the countertop and like use bleach or something or whatever. And because he was such an idiot, didn't even know how to take care of the kids. Like, where did that start? Like in one concept is like every dad is just completely has no clue
It
what's
was
going on.
that one movie what's the movie where the dad has to watch the kids and he gets
Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom, right? It was either Mr. There was one movie like in the 90s where the dad had to take care of the kids and like, oh, he couldn't do any of it. It was a really popular movie, and I think that kind of kick-started that.
Well, it's
that
obviously written
ideology.
for moms, and then it's actually written for like, oh, middle-aged housewives are our primary demographic target to buy stuff because they want to see a bumbling idiot, I guess, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's very odd.
It's so weird, like how that marketing works. Because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's not good marketing.
Well, it worked.
really not.
It must have been worked because it worked for 20 years. I mean, look at all the Karens out there, and they'd buy that shit with a spoon, wearing their jeggings, going to Target, getting their lattes all the time, right? That
That's so
works.
relatable. Men can't do anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what. But then it also debases women in that sense because it makes it where the power is that men can't do anything, which makes us inherently better.
So you have to.
So a man has to be
Yeah, so you have to.
right.
Men can't clean, so you have to.
Right, and a man is, you are only better than a man because the man is incompetent. So you are only barely competent. So
Oh yeah, like debasing it down.
You
yeah.
are de facto useful.
right, exactly. Yeah, and I
That
think
sounds like corporate America to me.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's just
yeah,
I think that's just like that's the problem in general, right? Where like everybody is special but no one is special, right? It's kind of like the Fight Club, right? You are not special. You are not a unique snowflake.
well, that's what
You are made of
capitalism and
the
Fight
same
Club.
decaying
That's the
matter.
whole point of capitalism is that.
Jesus Christ.
I just wanted to spice it up for a second. for you guys.
that everybody is special because of capitalist mentalities, right?
Mhm.
That's the you can do it. You can become a millionaire. But anyways, that's dads in media. I don't know if anybody knows actually good dad portrayal in media. Do you know of anyone?
Like, I'm trying to even think of any modern dads in media. I can't. Like, nothing comes to mind.
I'm sure there are, but I just don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't watch TV though. You know.
I never saw Malcolm in the Middle.
You never
was
saw Malcolm in the
good?
Middle?
Hell was a
You never
good.
saw Malcolm in the Middle?
Mm-mm.
That was actually, you want to think of a dad. My dad is like the dad from Malcolm in the Middle and Tim the Toolman Taylor combined.
Well,
that's
Hal-
my dad, right?
see, Hal was bumbling, but he was a good dad.
Yeah,
He was actually a
Bumble
better
was
dad
good
than
dad.
she was a mom because she had such an anger
Oh,
problem.
yeah.
Yeah, because she was.
Oh, she was such a Karen.
Yeah.
How about Uncle Phil?
The birth of Karens.
Oh, Uncle Phil. He was a great dad.
He's not
Oh
dad,
my
but
God.
he might as well be dad.
Yeah, he is dad.
Well,
That
he
was
was
a great
he,
portrayal.
he was a great father figure. Like he was smarter. Where it was like the perfect portrayal of a teenager dynamic versus the father figure, right? Whereas I know better than you, Dad, or you don't know, and he was, bided his time and said his piece and would get angry and stern. But he was a great portrayal of that, of the honesty of what it is.
So you guys know the scene where in that show Will Smith's dad
How
comes
come
back,
you don't
right?
want me?
How come he don't want me? That
Yeah.
scene.
Yes.
Dude.
I know men aren't supposed to cry. I will cry every
Uh,
time.
Well,
Don't
that's
even
the
say
one.
that.
Every time.
You just said something wrong with that whole too. Men aren't supposed
I
to
know
cry.
that's the whole part. That was satirical, by the way. I don't actually believe that. It was.
Don't cancel me. right.
Dad's in
I will
media.
cry every time. But like,
Dad's
no,
in
I'm
media,
talking
moderately.
like modern media. Like, what is a modern show that has a portrayal of a dad?
Anybody out
Like,
there in chat
We've
that
mentioned old shows. Yeah, we
can
need some
answer
help here.
this. Anybody in chat that can answer this. What is a modern show or media portrayal of a dad or father figure, even a commercial, something that the competent
bad,
dad
like-
or
Not even
incompetent?
competent. I can't even think of any example of a modern dad in media. Like,
Uncle Iroh?
Who?
Maybe? Uncle Iroh? I don't know if you guys have ever seen Avatar The Last Airbender.
anime doesn't count.
I haven't. I don't listen to hip hop.
Fuck off.
That's
We
a
were
whole
t-
different culture,
Hank,
bro.
Hank Hill?
Hank Hill.
Hank Hill.
We were.
Gary V? Who's Gary V?
Maybe-
Alex, we're not talking about Japanese culture.
We
not
were
informed
talking
enough
about-
one
we were
season.
t-
How about
to have opinions on it.
how about Ned Stark?
Ned
He got one-
Stark.
he
That
got
was it,
one-
Yeah.
He got less than one season
Of
Game
what?
of Thrones.
A Game of Thrones. Oh,
Game of
I've
Thrones.
never seen Game of Thrones.
Oh,
Yeah,
why
like,
was I
he-
thinking Tony Stark's dad?
I did it too. I did too.
Howard Stark was not a good dad.
Howard Stark.
That's
Howard
what I
Stark?
thought.
No.
What do you mean?
Howard-
Wasn't a good dad?
I mean, he was a good dad, but he was also not a good dad. They really fucked around with what kind of dad he was.
But I want to go back to Ottilie said Modern Family. I know he just popped in. We talked about the dad there.
We did,
But
yeah.
he is a good dad, but he's a bumbling idiot. He's successful, but he bumbles and he's, flighty and all of that. So I mean that's a modern portrayal, but again, he's not a good portrayal. But
Yeah,
Ottilie-
Otterly makes a good point. Yeah, Ned Stark got so into parenting that he lost his head.
oh my
like,
god,
Like he literally does his best to like raise
you zoned
children
out.
that
You-
aren't even right.
Speaking of dads that lost their head, Jango Fett
Excellent father,
literally lost his head.
yeah.
possibly.
Yeah, I don't know of any other modern portrayal that would be good or bad. I'm about to say maybe I just don't watch media like that. I used to, or I don't have to.
I mean,
A
is
bad dad-
Mando a father to Grogu?
Oh,
Maybe
here's
Yoda.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely.
the father Omni Man. Anybody
Oh,
see?
no, hang on. No, I am gonna promptly request no spoilers.
You
I
have not seen
had
it.
a chance to
You have
start.
not seen it.
I have not had a chance to start it yet.
Are you? You
Or
need
what?
after this. You need to just
Like-
watch that all the way through.
Yeah, I need to see that.
I'm
I have
so
heard
shocked
it's slightly tuned down version of The Boys, but
Wait till the
I'm
end.
still
I mean,
excited.
I don't know if you can say that. Even I mean, when you hit the end, I don't know if you can say that. You need to get on it. I would 100% agree.
The
If you haven't,
Bo-
the boys,
Speaking of bad dads, nothing but bad dads in The Boys. Even the main character's dad is bad.
fucking diabolical.
Well, what's his name? Main character is he's a bigger British actor. Can't remember his name, and I'm kind of surprised that he took such a tiny role. For Huey's dad.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, Simon Pegg.
Yeah, that was kind of surprising. He took such a small role.
He, 1 episode, 2 episodes to get that Amazon money and peace out.
smart man.
Smart man.
I've been trying to figure out how to do no work for more money for years.
Yeah.
Why do you think I stream?
No work.
I'm kidding. It's a lot of work, but it's like less.
We just make it look like it's easy.
Here's the thing: if you do
We
something,
make it look easy.
if you
Oh.
work hard at something you don't like, it's called stress. If you
Yeah.
work hard at something you do like, it's called passion.
I call that. I've heard something you do that you don't like for money. I've called that a career. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
So if something you really like that is a lot of work is passion. Okay, I will have to use that in everyday life. Anyways, and I guess dads and media, again, did any of you guys actually recently play the game, what is it? God of War with that he was the dad and the son there?
Is it a DLC for Rocket League?
Is it a knockout? Is it a Knockout City expansion?
Oh god.
Yeah, because if not, then no, I haven't.
So I don't know how I'm sure he was a terrible dad in that, but I don't know if he was I want to know, was he a good dad portrayal? Or was he a bad dad portrayal? Because if you know, God of War, Kratos is badass mofo himself, kind of a not a good dude typically. I mean, I don't really know the story too much. He was a good dad. He's a cool ass dad, but he was a good dad. See, that's really surprising because if you've played any of those games in general, he is he's a tough. I mean, he just kills. That's all he does. But
because like the actual mythological Kratos, not a good dad.
What about Jesus and his dad? Do we want to talk about this relationship?
Ooh.
No, actually,
Oh.
we'll leave
No,
that.
go ahead.
No, as I am more than willing to talk about that. I would love to get some
Speaking of that,
opinions on
it's
that.
like
Terrible
speaking of
father.
absent father.
Yeah, I like.
Cain and Abel, terrible dad.
Wait,
Who's the one who brought his son up to the mountain?
That would be,
ready to kill him.
that would be Abraham.
Abraham, terrible
Yes.
father.
He bad interpretation.
not-
He's like,
not
oh, you
only-
said kid. You said kid. I thought you
Not
meant.
only he's like, I'm gonna kill you, but I'm not gonna tell you what we're doing, and I'm gonna make you build the table that I'm gonna kill you on.
Man,
He
that's
can't
like
resent you for it. He's gonna die.
that's
The
the
Bible is full of that.
That's
How awkward is that relationship afterwards?
Well, no, it's okay. God sent a ram and it got caught in a bush, so everything's fine now.
that's the extreme version
Abraham's-
of like asking your kid to make you a sandwich or like get something for you.
You
Like,
wanna
hey, yeah,
talk
make
about
get this for me, and I guess I'll just kill you on it too. So
You want to talk about resenting your father? Abraham's kid's just sitting there at the fucking dinner table that night, like this motherfucker. Like,
Dude,
I hate this dude so much.
dude, don't forget that. If you pay attention to that story, yeah, Isaac's the promised one, but he had one before it, and now we get to blame that for everything that happens between Israel and Palestine. God's like, nah, dude. This one kid, I like him. I'm gonna be good to him. This other one, fuck that kid. I didn't like him. No, we're gonna make sure his life and existence is terrible.
Sandwich in heaven. Can you go get that for
For
me?
me.
Go get your dad a beer out of the heaven fridge.
God's working on his car. Can you hold the flashlight for him?
Oh, that's what people mean when they say they see the light. It's God holding the flashlight, asking you to help
a
him
new
out.
take on Jesus take the
Abraham's
wheel.
son
Hmm.
holding the flashlight for God.
I think I'm gonna need to go pray after this stream,
Right?
just to make sure I have my bases covered.
just to make sure. All right, checking in, Dad. What's up?
Yeah.
Reminds
So-
me of the story of the prodigal son.
The product.
Don't worry. I mean, I go to church every Sunday. I have no issues discussing some of the things that really don't seem to add up.
Yo, that shit's wild. That's wild.
It's wild. Maybe someone should make a movie out of it.
If somebody made a TV series rewriting the Bible in modern times, like set in
Honestly,
like
yeah,
the
honest
boys
God.
kind of like thing,
There is
but
so
like
many.
It
just
can't-
being very subtle about it, you know, to where like people couldn't tell unless you really looked at it. That TV show would be fucking crazy.
Well, you're right though, because you can't make it like you can't have it all like Christed up of like Jesus,
these and thous
you know,
and robes
and like
shit.
you know,
No,
and
like,
you know
set
the
in New
church
York.
is gonna be all like, oh, we gotta do that and turn that into it and make it lame. No, it needs to be tough and badass, and that's how you get the young kids to be Christian again. You put Joe
Just-
Camel in there, and they're gonna like it.
The thing is like if you want to do that, you gotta stay away from the New Testament. You gotta go Old Testament.
all Old
Woo.
Testament.
Old
Abraham-
Testament's where
Abraham
all the
go-
cool stuff.
Abraham goes to kill his son, and a Dodge Ram gets stuck in a tree.
Oh,
It's a
oh.
tree.
There we go. Product placement built in. I
Oh
love it.
my god.
When one of the judges stabs the fat king and the sword gets sucked inside of him, he's got a McDonald's Whopper in his hand. Even better.
Oh my
Moses lights up a blunt and sees the 10 Commandments, the burning bush.
Well, that's it. That's what the burning bush is. It's literally just hot on fire.
Oh my god. Anytime something is like, we have a message for you, delivered by Postmates. But
Commandment 1. Just chill out, man.
chill out, man.
Just chill out.
Lucifer. Oh yeah, that show. I also want. Yeah, but you're right though. If they did that,
Oh.
that would actually be really good. I don't know. That's
I did binge watch
I say-
Lucifer. I'm
is it good?
actually on the new season. There's a new season out. It's not bad. It's a guilty pleasure watch of mine.
It's a
not
CW.
like
It's a CW show.
it's
Oh.
a CW show, and Netflix picked it up, and they kept it a CW show even after they picked it up.
Really? That seems like a bad decision.
Well, it's like when
It's a
everybody
Jerry Bruckheimer show
doesn't he do
where
everything?
like CSI type stuff, right? Or Law and Order, one of the two. So it's kind of that, but CW.
No,
But Satan lives in Los Angeles.
he doesn't do
like,
Law and
and
Order.
runs a
That's
club, right?
who does
and,
Law and Order?
solves crimes. Who was Jerry Bruckheimer then?
He does a bunch of CSI stuff like that. But Law and Order is by like something Fox. Is it Fox? I can't remember his name. Game Wife would know this, but she loves Law and Order.
Oh, well, yeah. Anyways, it's Jerry Bruckheimer, CW, but the devil
Jet
lives in
Wolf.
Los Angeles and helps somebody solve crimes.
Well, there you go.
Satan solves murder crimes.
CW shows. I just can't
It's
like
not bad.
Arrow and the Flash. Like I tried to get into the Flash, but it's just there's so much. What are we talking about, Dads? We're talking about shows and Dads in the media and all sorts of stuff.
Ads in the media.
usually Game Dead, a CW show is really good, high budget, high production value for one season, and then everything is terrible afterwards.
I just couldn't get into the Flash. Like, it was okay. Like, it was just
I have
very
to ask,
what?
what is the most disappointing follow-up season in a show that you have ever had the unfortunate luck to watch? Like, you watch like a season of a show or however much, and it was amazing, and it just fell off a fucking cliff.
Do we
Not Game of
automatically
Thrones,
exclude
not
the final season of Game of Thrones? Yeah.
We have to.
I never watched Game of Thrones, so I wouldn't know.
How I Met Your Mother. The problem was watching that show in the first place. Gordon.
How I Met Your Mother? Ooh, I don't know, because they like How I Met Your Mother feels like they had to rapidly cut it off. Right, so they had to tie up a lot of loose ends on a show they thought was going to go so many more seasons. That's what I get. So I don't give it that title.
I think it's a problem. They try to push it many more seasons. You know, like how much can you do? Like, think of The Walking Dead. It's like they're still walking. But
you don't like How I Met Your Mother?
Me? I don't. I don't really like it.
Oh, that show is iconic.
I've maybe seen
It's
one
legend.
episode.
Wait for it. Dairy. Watch it from the beginning.
All right. I'll have to give
I've
it another shot.
I've never seen it either. So
For
we
me,
can
it's
do
the
it
last
together.
season of Mr. Robot. And I know Game Life will say the same thing. If you watch, okay, it's a great show. It's like they did like tech hacking, all of that correctly, and then they went the full show. It was started to get really good. And it was like, wow, that's like deeper and regarding like capitalism and how to take down. It was a really great way. Like, it was really interesting. You have to watch that. Very good. And then the last season, they just went crazy and jumped the shark on everything. And I just couldn't. I literally had to stop watching the last season. It was just, I looked it up and it's
Yeah.
like, this is a terrible idea. Like, it just didn't make sense anymore.
For me, it was definitely Altered Carbon. I don't know if you watched Altered Carbon. Season 1 of Altered Carbon was chef's kiss. Beautiful storytelling, aesthetic, acting. Fucking should win every award. Season 2 can... Oh, it can jump off a cliff for all I care. It needs to not exist. If I had a time machine, you kill Hitler, then you change Season 2 of Altered Carbon. Those are the things you do with a time machine.
I have been told Westworld falls into that category, but I haven't seen it.
I want to see that, but I've heard, yeah, you're right. I've heard the same thing.
Literally,
bringing up Doctor Who.
utterly, as a Doctor Who stan,
Ooh.
anything post Matt Smith, they fell off a cliff.
Alonzi. Sorry.
Like, I never got into Capaldi, and I have zero interest in Jodie Whittaker. That whole Jodie Whittaker saga is all BBC virtue signaling, and it's so
even the
terribly
end of Matt Smith's is where I fell off. Towards the end of his run is where I blame that keeping me from getting into Capaldi, because I never finished the end. Like, I got so far and it was like, this is stretching it, and then it kind of fell off. But I do need to re-binge Doctor Who.
yes.
Corn Dog with the joke. That's a good one.
Ah.
Doctor
No,
Who.
the
God.
number
Corn
number
Dog
one
has a kid out there somewhere.
the
Dad jokes are remote activated.
Corn
the
Dog's got to
number
be on the
one
next
show.
one.
Seriously, the number one show that just falls off a cliff. It's The Office. I love The Office, but season 8, once Robert California comes in, that show takes such a turn. It's
It does fall off
it's
the cliff.
so bad. Like,
Mhm.
season 8 regresses awfully,
I'm
and
not
then
even-
season 9 is just abysmal.
Well, I don't
I'm
mind.
not even an Office stan, and I agree with you. Like, I
Yeah.
kind of like watched it in the background of stuff for a long time, and eventually I was like, man, this show is like, I'm not even chuckling on the inside anymore.
You can almost say that once Michael leaves, the show dies.
So Game
yeah,
Life
for
and I
sure.
just finished rewatching the show, and you're right. Once Michael leaves, it takes a step down. It's not terrible. It's not amazing
Yeah,
like the amazing
shit
show that it
to
was,
recover.
but it's. And then the moment Robert California is okay. Like, he's hit and miss. Some people don't like him. I thought he was funny because he's so weird and awkward. Like, he made situations, but literally once he left, the show went down. Completely went down.
Andy as a manager was a terrible choice.
A bunch
for
of
the
different
show.
managers, Andy, and then honestly, Will Ferrell. I mean, his short stint as manager was actually good. I thought it was funny. I thought it was interesting, but again, it was just once you let Michael walk, which they let him walk,
Mhm.
they screwed up. He was
Well,
the show.
and what ended up happening was minor characters who had always been,
Minor characters.
you got a taste of what Creed was, right? But once those background characters had to be relied on for something more than just a visual gag
Agreed.
or like, a one-liner, those characters weren't developed 7 seasons in to have them carry the load.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't.
Carry the load.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It did fall off. Also, if you go back and look at the relationship and how that developed between Pam and
If you say Jim and Pam,
it's garbage.
the 9th season of Will They Won't They Have Affairs on Each Other is
Well, also the
just so out of left field.
even before that, the whole relationship they had was
Mhm.
of her, like them cheating, her cheating on her fiance, and all. Just leave the dude. She obviously just wanted to leave him. It's super. When we were kids and younger, and we watched it, we're like, "Oh, it's great. Everybody loved it." Now going back, I'm like, "Wait, this is an incredibly toxic relationship," and I
Mhm.
feel bad for whatever, I can't remember his name is now. I felt bad for Roy. I mean, it's just a terrible situation, and they're.
Same with Karen.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Karen.
You know what's funny is you guys probably won't
gonna
know
leave
this,
Karen for
but
Pam,
I saw a TikTok, right? When The Office bloomed, and all the chuggy people on that watch The Office were like in their Tinder bios, they'll
Right,
say,
right.
"I'm looking for the Jim to my Pam," right? And I saw a TikTok the other day where it's like, if that's your bio, that's the least Pam thing I've ever heard. Pam would never say that. You need to be Kelly Kapoor.
Yeah, right. Oh,
Her middle name is Rajinigonda, and she hates it.
So
Oh, yeah.
Never mind.
thank you for the segue, Claus.
Nice enough.
Speaking of Chugi, what?
You like that?
I love that. Thank you for the segue. Yes, absolutely. So speaking of Chugi, I know one of us doesn't know what Chugi means. So Thunder, Chugi, really, I had to look this up because I was like, I have to being a streamer and Discord and having younger people crowds, I have to be more with it in my old age. And it's really hard to keep with it when you're not organically in that group, right? I use Reddit has really been helpful, and Game Wife today told me that she thinks Reddit is Chugi. So that scares me. And that hurts. That is a stab in the chest right there. I've been on that site for a decade.
How old, I was about to say, how old is your Reddit account? 'Cause mine is so old.
My original Reddit account is probably close to 10 years. But Chugi is Thunder is, I guess it's hard to explain because it's like people who you like live, laugh, love. You like girl boss.
Do we need a sign that says "Live, Laugh, Love"?
You like girl boss. You like live, laugh, love. You get Target lattes. You drink White Claw. You that was
Shots
called
fired.
Chugi. That was called Chugi. But that kind of stuff. It's not quite. It's out. It's out of date. It's not hip. It's like 5 years ago. It's passé. But you're not super like lame 90s dad, but you're just behind the trends, and it's kind of that old. And I think a lot of it really is right now, at least, is what millennials like.
So
So like you're trying
Like,
too hard to be like up to speed, or
but
like
you're
up to
but you're
date
not up to.
servers.
But like Instagram is
But you're
considered
not
Chugi.
actually there.
Gen Z is beautiful for this because they have created an intricate term, right? This is a highly involved term. It's
Yeah.
one word that umbrellas a large group of people. And we used to use it as millennials. We used to call people basic, right?
Yes, but that's
Back-
Chugi now. Basic
yeah,
is
we would call
Chugi.
people basic. Basic is chuggy, but it's not as well.
That's true.
right?
You're right though.
It- like calling people basic is almost chuggy in and of itself,
Mhm.
right? So chuggy, it's this beautiful, intricate term that's really hard to describe, but a lot of the things that we consider basic is chuggy. But the way that I understand chuggy is like you basically do anything Instagram and Target ads tell you to. Like you're basically just copycatting internet culture. Live, laugh, love signs. If you're in Florida and you wear Costa glasses and post pictures of you holding fish while listening to country music,
but that stuff's
that would be
outdated.
like chuggy. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, like people who still wear those what are those $1,000 jackets, Goose Island jackets. Goose Island, those Goose Island during the winter, or you're wearing those you're wearing UGG boots. So it's not that hip anymore.
Oh, I know.
It's
I know
old.
what UGG boots are.
It's a little bit older. It's not super out, but it's like not fresh. That's really what chuggy is.
From my understanding, like being
Canada Goose,
chuggy,
you're right. Not Goose Island, Canada Goose.
Being Goose Island, that's a beer. You should know this.
What's Canada Goose? I've never heard of that
jacket.
either.
Goose Island is good, by the way.
It is.
Anyways, so like, but like chuggy isn't necessarily synonymous with like being outdated. So that's why it's such a beautiful, all-encompassing term. If you look it up on TikTok, you will find people that will describe chuggy for you beautifully.
Right.
And it like how it encompasses like what it means to be chuggy. And it's very simple and intricate at the same time. So shout out to Gen Z.
I find out more of
that
like
one.
a millennial likes and dislikes fall into the chuggy category more so. Because a lot of those things that are described in that category are things that were defined our generation at the age Gen Z is now. So their things will be chuggy when they're older in that sense, right?
And there will be a new word.
There'll be a new word.
So if you're trying to be chuggy, you are trying to be up to date. Like you're actively.
No. There's no try in chuggy. You just are chuggy. It's not like you're trying to do something. It's like stuff you like because it may or may let you like it, or it's a cultural like fit for yourself. Like live, laugh, love, all of that information.
Okay, so am I chuggy?
Well, it depends on what you like.
Know,
Do you wear Carhartt hats? Or Carhartt in general? I don't know. It depends on what you. I don't know enough of in your everyday life to consider you chuggy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
guess with
Instagram
most things.
feed.
I would consider Claw though based on its aesthetic chuggy.
Okay.
I think Claw is chuggy based on its aesthetic.
No. All right, come on. Here we
No.
go.
But I don't mean it's a bad thing. I think he has an
I
aesthetic
am not
that
chuggy.
that he is. That you know how you know when you're chuggy when you say you're not chuggy. But
No.
yeah, no. But I think by your aesthetic, but it's not in a bad way. Like how you say it's not outdated. It's by that's just your aesthetic. Like you're 30, you're not gonna be. I mean, you're good with TikTok and stuff, but there's certain things like the White Claw and some of this other stuff. But maybe the nomenclature that you use. But maybe I'm wrong.
Hey,
it's hard.
Shiny,
It's hard.
Shiny in chat. You know me IRL. Am I or am I not chuggy? I'll wait.
See, I don't know you in real life. Just by your aesthetic on stream, it's not a bad thing.
So like, from the way that well, I'm not basic.
No, I'm
That's the
not calling you
thing, though.
basic. I'm not calling you basic. You said
basically
chuggy is
are.
not basic. I'm not calling you basic.
They're not mutually exclusive, but they're very similar.
Well, you've called yourself a fuckboy, and can be like a chuggy term now, I think.
Jokingly. Ty's still here. Ty
I know.
says I'm not chuggy. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Shane, I haven't seen you in like 10 years. All right. You can't call me a chuggy.
Okay. Does Ty know you in person?
Yes. Ty
Okay.
knows me in person.
Okay. Then I will retract my chug statement. I will retract
Like
that.
if I was chuggy, I would go to the gym a lot. I would have a girlfriend and or wife. And we would either be on the brink of getting engaged or married with a kid.
How does that make somebody chuggy?
I would drive a truck. She would drive an SUV. She would have live, laugh, love posters, and I don't know, golf. Like,
Okay.
like
Maybe I am chuggy.
Do you drive a truck?
I have a 1947 in my garage.
No,
That's
not
you have an
like
old
that
truck.
kind of
That's an
truck.
old.
Like I would drive like a
Old truck.
newer F-150.
Oh, and it has to be
right.
clean, and you never use it.
Yeah, clean. I never use.
90% of all
Okay.
trucks are not truck bed is not used that are bought.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that makes my soul hurt.
It's basically like chuggy is like
where I
a
live.
lack of character, right? It's lack of character depth. You ever meet
Oh,
those
that's a great
people
way.
or
Yes,
see
you're
them on
right.
Instagram and you're like, you're a fucking NPC, aren't you? You basically just do everything that I see on Instagram and copy it. Like that person is chuggy.
No, you're right. You're right, because that's not the character. It is. That's how you described it originally, with having that as your like. Oh, I need my Jim to my Pam. All of those kind of sayings that not having them unique to who they are, turning themselves
Mhm.
into kind of like the soundboard of. It's really Pinterest posts that have like this is how you dress or whatever. That person that's who they are. instead of combining whatever the fuck they want, they just listen to Pinterest posts that show like 6 different things to wear, and they wear them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody
so,
who says, "I need the gym to my Pam." That's such a chuggy thing to say.
well, and I will argue about being married or being close to engaged or even going to the gym a lot as chuggy. Like you can care about your health. You can.
No, it was all those things combined. I created an image, right?
Yeah.
Like that. The Instagram. Are you guys not on Instagram a lot? You don't see these couples on
Dude,
Instagram.
I had,
You know what
I
I'm
had
talking
an
about?
Instagram, I had an Instagram like my freshman year of high school, and I
Then
couldn't
you are
log into
not
it if I needed
chuggy.
to. Okay.
I'm not. I'm not
You
huge
have
on
to have-
social media.
You have to be huge on Instagram to be chuggy.
It's true.
You're automatically out.
Are you outing
Congratulations.
yourself though as huge on Instagram? Huge on Instagram, Claw?
I used to be, yeah. I used to be a little chuggy for sure. But then I developed this fear and became a nonconformist. I have this fear of only doing things because corporate America or social media or other people did it, and that's what told me to do it.
Yeah, we discussed
I
that,
live
and that's a great way to live by is by try to have that uniqueness more inherently. Yeah, Instagram's chuggy now. Yeah, you're right.
Insta's
Yeah,
chuggy. Yeah,
It's chuggy,
yeah, that's
absolutely.
true. Instagram is chuggy.
Yeah, it is all the it's those things that are going to be passé in like 5 years. Like Facebook is dead, right? So in 5 years, like
Mhm.
Instagram is dead. I mean, it's just eventually TikTok and Snapchat are going to be dead too. Snapchat.
Facebook is dead. All my homies use Parlor.
Facebook is like beyond chuggy.
How do I delete
Facebook is,
somebody's
like,
audio?
basic.
Visco. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know really. I just know Visco girls. That's all I know.
Okay.
about.
Wait a minute. So here's how I know
Oh,
I'm
that
not
Chernobyl was
chuggy.
all
Like
right.
I'm how so out of it I am. I hear people go, "Man, I remember Vine life." I'm like, I don't even remember when Vine was an app.
I only don't remember Vine because they grow on
2011?
they grow on my fence. Haha. That's it. But that's
God, I
old.
hate that. Oh, look at all these chickens.
I do use that, but I have chickens.
Wait, what is that?
Vine was
I'm
life.
at all these chickens. LinkedIn is the future. That's it.
Don't even
Apparently
get me
out of.
started about LinkedIn. Honestly,
See, LinkedIn used to be good. Now
Honestly,
it's a
LinkedIn
shitty
is
social
Facebook.
media.
LinkedIn is now Facebook.
LinkedIn is
it's
for
all people.
No, you're right. Go ahead. No. I love this.
It's all it is now. Is it was supposed to be like the wave of like how you were going to network in the future, and now it's, at least on my feed, it's every ultra conservative I've ever known sharing the shit that Facebook blocks and putting it on LinkedIn.
so
not even that,
in my
they-
previous job. Go ahead.
Yeah, they just share. It's not even just that. It's just people sharing stuff. Why is this here and not Facebook? And who gives a crap? And it's just absolute garbage. It gets big, and it's nothing to do with networking whatsoever anymore. It's
No.
terrible, and I hate it for that reason.
In my previous job, I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn. A lot, because basically I had to hunt down marketing directors and trying to convince them to buy our advertising. And like I had LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which basically gives you more access. Like if you guys post anything on LinkedIn, people can come find you, especially if you're an important role. Like I was a detective, basically shooting down emails and phone numbers and then calling people and emailing people and trying to like get them to advertise with us, right? So like I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn and I regret every second. LinkedIn's terrible.
LinkedIn's weird too with exactly what you're talking about, right? Even like headhunters, right? I have never once made a LinkedIn post. Like essentially it's a copy of my resume, right?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And I'll get an email that said, "You had 70 people look at your LinkedIn account this week. See who?" And I'm like, who is clicking it? Who is searching me out for the nothing that I post?
Those are either people looking for a decision maker to sell them a product or headhunters looking for somebody to hire. One of the two.
Or somebody trying to debate and dox somebody else.
Speaking of headhunters, valuable lesson though. I'm glad it happened with you and not somebody else because, you know, it happened with somebody I can trust
I got you.
and not somebody else. But yeah, so like LinkedIn has a built-in feature called Sales Navigator that is designed for people to try and sell you shit, right? You buy access to it and these people get special access to view your information, where you work, you know, who your superiors are, who you report to, how your company's been doing, all that shit.
Are you?
It's a very simple rule. If you don't pay for the product, you are the product.
That's very true.
I too watched The Social Dilemma, great documentary.
Oh, is that
That's the thing that I've
Is that a
known. I've
thing?
never seen it either.
Oh yeah, it's in The Social Dilemma is a documentary on Netflix. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called,
Who's it-
Social
is-
Dilemma.
Who's it by? Is Killer? I want to say who does it?
No, that's not Killer Mike.
I don't know why.
But I
thought
know
that was-
what you're talking about. But no, it's basically just a documentary about what's wrong with social media. And in that documentary it says if you don't pay for the product, you are the product. And ever since I heard that, I was like, fuck.
yeah,
It's so true.
Yeah,
That changed my whole perspective on a lot of things.
So, and I guess with that whole social media, do you guys feel like you're keeping up with the times of things? Because it's all changing so fast, right? And it's hard. And I know Thunder, you're just starting with a kid. It gets harder and harder because it takes work as you get older. Because of the groups you hang out with, you know, like they got other responsibilities. I have kids or whatever. I mean, we can't spend 15 hours a day playing Call of Duty and hanging out on Reddit anymore.
yeah. I'm dated for my time. I am just gonna be like granddad when it comes to my kids. Like I'm gonna have no clue how to use anything. I try my best, but maybe it's more social media. I think it's more social media things that are
Sure.
related things. Like most technology I can keep up with, but like I hate social media. In general. Like I stream, right? I have a Twitter account. I never use it. Like every once in a while, I'll remember like, oh yeah, I should probably tweet something. But I just don't. I don't like social media.
I used to be a lot bigger on Twitter. I have a different account, and the running joke is like, oh, I'm they don't even know that I'm popular on leftist Twitter, but because I have a pretty big presence there. But that's it though. Like it's hard. But what about Claw? And you don't have kids, and I know Thunder. It didn't even matter, right? But Claw, as you got older, because more responsibility is taken away from time, probably being able to be a part of that culture or more with it. The kids are with it. How do you feel about that?
So I'm gonna say yes and no, because like I was very social media savvy or privy to technology like growing up, right? So I
Right.
grew up with it, and it's not like I ever put it down, right? I was engaged with it the entire time.
Why don't you get
But-
married? I'm sorry.
Wow. Because nobody has said yes or wanted to say yes yet. Anyways, so
You said- yeah.
like I was engaged with it the whole time, but it's different now than it was back then. Like being cool is uncool now, and being uncool is cool, kinda, right? And I'm just becoming so jaded that it's hard for me to care about trends.
Sure.
You know, the older I get, the more jaded I become, dude. It's hard for me to give a fuck about anything, right?
It's exactly that.
My poor soul. So, like, in that sense, I feel like I'm keeping up with the times because that's also kind of where the times are going.
Yeah, I mean,
like people are carrying. It's dividing into extremes.
you have that exactly right, I think, because growing up for me, it was like there was it was like cool kids and whatever in school, right? But now it seems more like the niches and the groups. It's based on their aesthetic. Like, which group do you fall in? Are you artsy?
Your aesthetic and your brand.
Do you like your brand? Do you like anime? Do you like this? But none of them are lame. Like the nerds, but they're like video games and computers and stuff. Like nobody is lame in their own right. Back in my day, it was much more of like if you're not a cool jock, like joking around with people or funny or whatever, you're a lameo and you're whatever. You're not cool. But it's really
that's because back then, sorry to interrupt. That's because back then, not everybody had a voice, right? You only had a voice if you're popular. Now everybody has a voice. Every aesthetic, every brand, anime nerd, computer nerd, music nerd, they all have their own places to have their own voice.
Yeah, and it used to be art being like artsy was like nerdy or lame, right? And now that's like really cool, like with it, like, oh, you make this or you do that. And it's all totally changed. And I think that's what you're getting at is being cool and with it is not really that much with it anymore. There's still that aesthetic. There's a cool aesthetic, but it's not like the cool. It's just another option.
Yeah, and understanding that puts us leagues ahead of our peers and people our age that just don't get that yet,
Oh,
right? So I
they
feel
never
like in
will.
that regard, we're all kind of with it. But I do feel out of it because when I was young, like in my teenage years, I would illegally download, Photoshop and then like teach myself how to use it. And now I am proficient in like Photoshop. Like I can make logos and emotes and stuff. I tried to learn Ableton or DaVinci Resolve the other day, and my brain just stops working. I'm like, is this what my dad felt like when he fired up our beige Dell for the first time and I made fun of him because he couldn't get online on AOL? Like, that's how I'm becoming my father is because I can't learn new software. That makes me feel old when I try and like edit a video and I just give up. I'm like, I can't do, there's too many buttons. I can't figure it out. And I just uninstall and load it into OBS.
I
Like,
am scared for the
you're
day
alive.
I encounter something that I am unable to really figure out. I have yet to
Have you
dive.
downloaded DaVinci Resolve yet?
I have Ableton Live or Lite or whatever that came with my audio interface, and I haven't done anything with it because I haven't needed to. But I am scared about using my MIDI keyboard too because I'm scared about that of like having no freaking clue what I'm doing. Um,
Ableton is a nightmare.
with Thunder, what about you though? Like, are you feeling? I think being having a kid also gives you that perspective of like it's not about me anymore. I don't give a shit. So it makes it much easier to just let go, right?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Not just like not just being able to let go, but being forced to let go, right? There are things that you have to quit spending time on things that you would normally do, right? To better yourself because you have to prioritize that life that has now entered the room, right? I mean, I could watch a YouTube video on how to, for example, switch to OBS, but I have to keep pace with what the baby needs.
Yeah, I mean it's a time.
OBS, weirdly, I've had no problems with, like, learning.
I like OBS. It's much clunkier, but it has much more customization, and that can be off-putting to people. But sometimes there's clunkiness that's weird to get around. Like, why can't I copy this, or why can't I undo this, or why doesn't it auto detect the game in the right format? Because if you change games, that makes scenes be as the game. There's no like good game detect like Streamlabs has, but overall, it's a better tool. It's cleaner and smaller as the hole that it has in your CPU, but this is not a
Hmm.
branding for
Streamlabs OBS is for Warzone streamers,
Warzone streamers.
and streaming Call of Duty Warzone is chuggy.
Call of Duty is chuggy, but
Well, I mean, just
Call
at
of Duty
Heat
is
just
chuggy.
at Heat next time, Claw.
He is so close to being a Warzone streamer, but
utterly,
he's like
that's right.
not. But he's not. Imagine being able to detect a game properly can be me. Do you guys know about
That happened
studio
today.
mode? Studio mode is a thing. Call of Duty is chuggy, corn dog. You
Wait,
can't fight me on that. It's
Well,
chuggy AF.
what is studio mode?
Studio mode in OBS is where you can click studio mode, change over to the scene that you want to edit while resuming your current scene in OBS and editing the scene and then switching when you're done editing it.
How do you wait, my face, how do you do this?
I just melted his brain. There's a button underneath your start streaming button that says studio mode.
And then
And I
it does
think
it for
you
any
if you
scene.
there's a setting that you want to enable in settings under it's somewhere under studio mode where it says double click to switch scenes. So that way when you're done you can double click the scene and it'll just switch to it.
What in the world? Yeah, so I've had to like
Did you
edit
just
stuff
click it and now
live.
you can see that you can go to different scenes and edit them?
So preview is your current, right?
Yeah,
And
you
then
have your current and then you'll have
what's
the one that you
program?
can
It
work
says
on.
program is the one that you can work on, right?
Should be, yeah.
What?
I believe whatever the other screen is going to be the one you can work on. I just blew all the streamers' minds in here. It's almost like we have a server designed to teach all this information.
Well, I hate to be this guy, but Dad, Claw Dad, the Thunder Gaga is is resisting sleep, and the Thunder Gal is
No,
is
that's
in dire need of assistance.
that's
So
cool.
I'm gonna have to bid everyone a farewell.
That's quite all right. We can do a one-on-one with Claw. Thanks for being here, Thunder. Appreciate you.
I will lurk from Twitter from Twitch, and it's always a pleasure to be a part of the podcast for dads and dad enthusiasts.
So speaking of,
What is love? Baby, don't hurt
all right,
me.
we got Herky with
Don't hurt
the
me.
with the
No
sub.
more.
Thank you, Herky. Appreciate you. So when I'm looking at Twitter, teach me how. All right. So speaking of studio mode, we're gonna do this. So how do I? Now I'm scared. I have to learn on the fly. So now you see that. That's the.
Oh no, and now we got edited out of the display capture. Ah, my leg is somewhere else.
Oh man, this is gonna be rowdy. All right. So it's
Is
cropping
this
it.
Thanos' reality?
Oh my gosh. I have to edit the right one, right? So did this just get bigger on stream? No, it
I
doesn't.
don't think anything changed on stream yet.
That's amazing. You're right.
Because you're in studio mode. My studio mode's been acting up lately, though. I think I need to update OBS. That's what I need to do. All right.
Hold on, we got this.
I'll do a video on it.
I gotta
Wait,
find
how
the
am I
right
gonna
number.
record that video, though?
All right. I think we're getting there.
Do you use Spotify for your music?
I do. Is it not playing?
I think it's doing the thing. So Discord does this thing where if you stream music for too long, it'll just stop playing your music. Like Discord will take control of Spotify and pause it.
Why?
It's the biggest asshole move they could possibly do. I think it's for DCMA things because they don't want people sharing their Spotify through Discord. It only does it when you're in a call. So if you're in a call and you're streaming music, it'll just pause, just straight up pause the music.
That's
like once every half hour.
But
Which
it
is
just
probably why we're still losing music.
yeah, that's so weird because I feel. Thank you for calling that out, Corn Dog. This is on the fly. This is tough.
Yeah, I have to listen to my own music. I can't listen to yours because like, then I would hear us. Is that why I couldn't get audio through Discord yesterday? Maybe. No, because your mic should be working just fine.
Ropes there.
Now take your time.
And then how do I undo it? How do I that?
I wouldn't know because
Or not undo it. How do I make it done?
not do it.
Or how do I do it? Because I'm done. I just press the studio mode again.
What
Oh
is
well, everything
love?
just changed live on stream.
Baby, don't hurt
It already
me.
changed.
Don't
Yeah.
hurt
So
me.
studio mode usually
No
is for
more.
editing like different scenes, right?
Right.
So
right.
because OBS doesn't capture a game right away, like if I switch games, I'll go into my chatting screen, open up studio mode, go into my gaming scene, and make sure my game is selected in the game capture menu before I double tap it and change scenes. So that way it's not a black screen when
Oh
I
my
change
gosh, that changes my life. I'm telling you right now. All right, we're good. Should
All right, are
flip
you
his
ready for
cam so
this?
it's facing you. All right.
scenes. Who said that? said
Corn
that?
Dog. Wolf Craze, appreciate you by the way. Really do. Look at that. Expect normal. Appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing. That means a lot. There we go. That's the better view. So, Claw. Anyways, I wanted to ask. E3's been going on, and I know I watched it with Otterly as well as Heat. Are you look at that time? Did you follow any news on E3?
I did. So I thought a lot of people were scared to stream it, right? A lot of people,
I saw a lot of people just say
because of
fucking
the letters,
do it.
yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people did it anyway. So I watched some of it, and I had a conversation with my IRL gaming friends about it. And And one of the points that I was bringing up, and I think I tweeted about this too, was, but nobody checks my Twitter, so it's an empty rabbit hole for my thoughts. Or maybe people just don't care.
It doesn't
But-
show up on mine, but
Yeah, it probably doesn't show. I tweet like once a day, and it doesn't show up. Great. So where like is the era of original games dead? Because at E3 it was Halo Infinite, Forza 5, Battlefield 7, you know, Mech Warrior 5, Clash of Clans 2, Hello Neighbor 2. Like it was all these like everything was a sequel. Everything was a sequel. Like where are just our like good
new IPs.
original IPs?
There was a
Wait,
couple
Starfield.
IPs. Like Starfield. I mean, there was a couple
It
new
took them
ones.
25 years to make it, and it's coming out in a year and a half. Like, oh, that's what it takes to get a new IP. So I feel like we're just getting all this recycled crap.
Wait,
Also, the skits.
what took
what?
25 years? Starfield?
Starfield.
They
yeah,
really
they
were
said
working-
during the launch, they're like, this has been 25 years in the making. I was like, that's not really a flex because
How long it took
you're
you
telling
to
me
do
this game's outdated. You're telling me that this game's outdated. Like anything you did 5 years ago in the gaming industry, it's already done. Like it's
Well, it's
that's
Bethesda.
a weird flex.
I mean, Bethesda always has that style. But anyways, you were
Yeah,
saying
but like I feel like we're just getting all this recycled crap and we're getting taken advantage of as a gaming community. Like, we'll just make this new Battlefield kind of like the old one. They'll eat it up. Ha ha ha. And like the skits were terrible. The skits were very cringy, right? And it was almost like a
They always
parody.
are.
Like, yeah, this is what gamers like, right? It was like some sick parody on great value budget Nickelodeon style. Like it was like it's
well,
it was
I
not made by gamers.
I will say it in one word of a product: G Fuel. And that's why I do my Taco Bell it's for gamers thing, because it's ironic, right? G Fuel, it literally itself, all of that stuff is like G Fuel, it's for gamers. You get the energy and you'll be able to get headshots.
But they didn't
Baby, it's a
even take it
triple.
from
Like, who gives
that
a shit? It's
standpoint.
well, I think it's the same thing. It's like because they don't know what we want in that sense, so they do that. Like they'll like this. They'll this is what they want. So it's the annoyance of those kind of products, because who's ever selling them and we got to make this is what the big AAA budget is, right? Like we need
Yeah.
Battlefield 17 at 2040. Remember there was Battlefield 2142 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and 2042. Oh, that's what we got to do. We got to do that because it's they'll love that. But we also love
So-
originality. But there's risk in originality. Look at movies. There's tons of risk in flopping on a new IP.
It's true. It's true. But they can afford it. You know, they've made enough money.
Yeah, but they don't want to lose
Um,
money.
But there's a couple reasons why they did this. One, just repackaging, retexturing, and reshipping an old idea. One, because we keep buying them, which is shown profitable. And two, the margins are larger, right? They're going to make more profit
yeah.
because they don't have to invent a new Master Chief. We have the old Master Chief. Like, you know, and so coming up with a new game or a new IP is costly and hard, and it involves talent and skill and art, which they don't want to invest in. It's just a big ass money grab. But here's the thing that I took away from it while I was watching E3 is I was watching it like with streamers, and obviously I hold tonality and voice in high regard. It's a big aspect of the content that I make, right?
Right.
And I would listen to the tonality and the voice of the people announcing E3, and it was a fucking joke. And then I would listen to the tonality and voice of the devs that were explaining what was going on, and it was less of a joke, but none of them really felt passionate. Even Todd Howard or Gabe Newell, you know, when I saw them, it just didn't seem passionate. It was kind of zombie about it. Then I would listen to the tonality and voice of the streamers that were watching the content, and they just seemed authentic and real. You know, like they could have their real opinions and be real about themselves and say what was going on with this game, what they liked or didn't like, or real excitement or not. So it was like these 3 stages of authenticity, from the fucking joke Nickelodeon skit that was the E3 structure itself, to the devs that are making and launching the game, to the people who are going to be enjoying them, you know, and streaming them. And just seeing that made me really sad for the top part of the funnel.
Yeah, for me, a lot of that was like the post shows when they were doing the post kind of parts there with the um like after the responses are right when they were like, "What do you
Hmm.
think?" And they're the interviews. And it's terrible.
Hmm.
It's just pure. You're right, pure drivel, forced garbage. And then today,
Hmm.
before the Bethesda, they're like crawling. Like I don't know, they were like crawling on the stage. I'm like, how embarrassing. I guess for the
Hmm.
money, it's just like stupid. And they've always been like that though. That's been like for 15 years. It's always been like that.
The one thing was during the PC showcase. There was this small studio company, and I can't remember the name of them, but they made these like indie looking boomer shooters. Um, and like it was just one real CEO that made an actual funny joke. And I guess E3 went along with it because they were like, "Oh, we have to drop you. Gabe Newell's on the line," and he like did this funny skit in his own studio, and that was like the one moment of authenticity that I caught from E3. I didn't watch the whole thing. I got to go back and watch the rest of it.
Sure.
But I did catch like a lot of moments. I watched a few hours of it.
And
But
I
that was
think
like the one takeaway that I had.
as the years gone by, I'm less excited. Like to me, sure, I like,
Yeah.
but there's certain things because as you get older, there's certain things you like and are less willing to try and more willing to try. And I think a lot of it is like today, people are, yeah, be hyped about Game Pass, sure. But I'm like, that's that's like, wow, that's like being excited to like, whoa, Steam. Like, yeah, yeah. Like, whoa, Netflix is launching. Like, that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, be excited about the games. Like, you're excited
Hmm.
about the platform. Like, I mean, I
Hmm.
get you can be because like these games are being released to it. You're paying for the platform. You get all this stuff.
Hmm.
But the irony
Hmm.
is, people are more excited for the platform to get the stuff than the stuff itself, and that
Yeah,
speaks a lot to what's
it
being released.
does.
Like, oh, we're re-releasing these games and these are coming day one. People are more excited about like, whoa, yeah, let me get this platform rather than the games themselves. Like, I don't know. Also, I thought it was
Hmm.
weird, but that's I didn't. There's zero news about Elder Scrolls 6, which is
Oh
just
yeah. A couple E3s ago, we got one flyover that basically just said we're working on it.
yeah, and it was like literally just it was
That
like a
was it.
screenshot. Yeah, that was it. And then they
It
came out with
exists.
76. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and like the saddest part about it is the gaming industry was one of the last surviving industries to
Oh, it's
like
over. Yeah.
be
Hmm.
to be about the people, to be about the consumer, and the communities were integrated with the development, and that's gone,
There's
right?
more money in Call of
What
Duty than there are movies.
exactly,
There is,
exactly.
yeah, for sure.
And what's the last biggest original IP, like blockbuster IP
Um,
that you can think of?
like original, like think of The Last of
Like
Us.
a big game, a big old game that was an original idea.
Well, The Last of Us was pretty original.
It was a pretty big game, but I've never played it.
I haven't either. I
I
know
don't,
tons of people that have played it, but I haven't played it.
and not even not single player games, like a big ass multiplayer with a single player campaign. We're talking your Halos, your Call of Duties. Like, what was the last big game, huge game that was an original idea?
That's a good point. I mean, it hasn't. I don't
Phrase,
know.
I've never heard of that game that you mentioned.
It's,
Horizon Zero Dawn, a single player again.
it's a single player. I mean, it's mainly a single player
I'm
game.
not isolating out single players, but these like
Ooh, Overwatch.
high graphic quality single player games, they don't take as much to make as something like a big platform. So Overwatch, how old is Overwatch? Overwatch is 5, 6 years old, right?
Well, he wants a game. I
The
think he
only one,
wants a game that includes multiplayer, like a large single player campaign that also has a multiplayer campaign. Either both of them are the primary, but something like
yeah,
on the AAA aspect of like a Call of Duty or a Battlefield.
yeah, I wouldn't put Horizon Zero Dawn on a AAA platform. The only one that I can think of was the original Destiny.
Oh wow.
And Destiny was kind of they had all the resources from Halo when Bungie made Destiny. And then they repackaged that as Destiny 2. But that's the only one that I can think of
It has
that it
both.
was an original IP AAA.
Because you can't even say MMORPGs anymore because they're all just like versions of the single player, like Fallout 76, like Final Fantasy 14, like
Mhm.
the Elder Scrolls Online or whatever. Those all are not original IPs because they came from the single player IP.
Yeah. And I
Valorant.
think in chat they're kind of underestimating the gap between a large AAA title and a big game. Valorant's a big game and is not a AAA title.
Apex. Apex is huge.
Apex is a huge game, but the game was free from the start, and it was kind of a
Yeah.
reskin Titanfall.
Yeah, see, and the problem is Titanfall was supposed to be that game, and it only really got a cult
Yeah.
following, and it's a very, very good game, but it just,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it flopped. The second one's good. I mean, I don't know, it's hard. So, but
The
that's
only one I can think of is Destiny, right?
Yeah,
That had a
it's-
single player. That was a big title. It had a huge multiplayer.
what's that
was
new
a
Destiny
big-ass
one that
game.
came out? What's that new that's like Destiny, but like shooter? I can't remember what it's called.
I'm
I
not
have to look
sure.
it up. I have it, but I've never played it. It just, well, Cyberpunk was supposed to be. You were the
Cyberpunk was a
chosen
big
one,
game.
Cyberpunk. You were the chosen one.
Yeah, you were the chosen one.
they-
So 2014. So 7 years ago
Was what,
is the
Destiny?
last was the last major AAA title that I can think of that was an original IP. No Man's Sky was definitely not a AAA
No,
title.
No Man's Sky was not. What about Outriders? What
Great
about
game.
Outriders?
Never heard of it. So
Really?
not a AAA.
Really? It
AAA
just,
means household name.
well,
Everyone's
I
heard
think
of it.
Outriders was supposed to be that, or maybe it wasn't. I don't know. It was supposed to be like a Destiny type of game. It is novel. Yeah, Valorant, Apex, Titanfall lore, Anthem. Yeah, No Man's Sky. I don't know. You're right. Square Enix, Outriders. Yeah, so that was their version. It was a pretty big name, but I think it kind of flopped. Like it was goodish, but it didn't really replace anything. Outriders was big and good, but not AAA. Yeah, they're talking about games. We are talking about games, Vanessa.
Mhm.
They do that with the music. You're right.
But
Um,
you know what I'm saying? Like
Nobody's taking a risk
everything that
anymore.
we're getting is a new version of Halo. It's a new version of Battlefield. It's a new version of Call of Duty. Like I want a new AAA title IP to get excited about.
Yeah,
And the only one on the docket right now is Starfield. And I love Bethesda, but for how much I heard that they botched 76, I don't know. You don't think they botched 76? People have told me that 76 didn't even have NPCs.
Oh, okay. So I will. You've gotten me in my favorite. This
Are you a stan?
I'm well, not for 76 as much, but I'm a Fallout stan. You can't see it; it's on my shelf. Well, you can actually, on your
Oddly,
view.
is Elden Ring and Elder Scrolls?
No,
What
it's
is
not.
Elder Ring?
Elden Ring's
what
by
is
George R.R. Martin, and it's like Dark Souls meets, what did I say? Dark Souls meets Elder Scrolls. I know it's really looking interesting game. But anyways, I'll talk about Fallout 76. So I'm a huge Fallout fan. And 76, I almost bought like the super crazy edition where you get the helmet. Luckily, I turned it around and I just got like the one edition below that. There's no NPCs when it released. They botched. They had a great idea. They decided to botch it because they just wanted to make some quick buck on online. And the game was okay. It was kind of clunky and broken, and it took them a year to really fix some stuff, mostly, and it's better. It's definitely not on the same aspect of 3, New Vegas, or even Fallout 4. Fallout 4 was good. It's like an 8, whereas this 9 and 10, I would say, for 3 in New Vegas. But 76 is probably an 8 now. But the problem is they added NPCs. They're adding all these other story modes a year and a half later, whatever. But I think you're right, Claw. Them doing that online. Yeah, now that there's quest lines, it's a lot more enjoyable. Fallout is the shit. When Fallout 7 came out, it was pretty bad. Today's patches, it got way better. Absolutely, Herc. I mean, I agree. Park Place, and I love Fallout 76. But the ruins Fallout. It ruins Skyrim, or Skyrim. It ruins Elder Scrolls by having online. Because that's where the money it is. It's an easy cash cow. Why do they need a single player? People are going to only buy it once. They tried it with Skyrim, putting on 17 different platforms, but they can still make more money off of having an online feature you have to pay for. Even if it's free, there's enough of the whales to make it worth it. And I think that ruins, even though that's not a new IP, like a new Fallout, my mind, man, I always thought it should be based in Chicago, and you should have the Sears Tower versus the Hancock Building, and those are the two main factions. And that sounds sick, right? There's a huge
You
lore.
mean the Willis Tower?
Shut
What's
up.
the Sears Tower?
Oh God.
I,
But and I think
also put ketchup on my hot dogs. Get good.
well, I do too. I'm not. But anyways, I'm just saying like the problem. Cubs suck, by the way. The problem is that
You're a Sox fan?
no, I'm from Milwaukee. I'm a Brewers fan.
Oh, okay. Cubs
But,
are great. Fly the W.
Fly the L. But Miller Park South. But anyways, it's I think that ruined it, right? Like even if it's not original IP, they could be like, oh, we're gonna do this next, or we're gonna do this, and it's really like, well, now they spread themselves thin because they have to have more than one studio, right? Or like the studio works on the online version, and that's much a bigger part. We have multiplayer, and then we also have to have a single player edition of it. So I think it hurts in the long run for those studios that try to eke into the multiplayer aspects. They should stick to the guns that they're really good at. But there's more money in multiplayer, and it's all about the money, I guess, which is kind of ruining gaming.
The thing is, like, the greed is ruining gaming, right?
Yeah,
because
yeah, absolutely.
a new Skyrim's gonna make enough money being a single player one-time purchase, no DLCs. It will make enough money to pay for itself and buy mansions for the people that funded the project just from that.
3 yacht. I need 3 yachts, not. I need 4 yachts, not 3 yachts. I couldn't count
Right?
there.
So greed is ruining it because you have all these businessmen running the industry that don't know shit about the games or the culture that are behind them, which is sad. But to address like Wolf Craze's point, I'm not saying originality is dead because there are amazing games being made by tiny studios. There
Oh, yeah.
are amazing games being made by mid-level studios, right? Originality is not dead, but originality is not being funded anymore, right? Originality is not it's synonymous with big business anymore. And that's completely obvious because if you look at the games that people are playing right now, we're all playing old ass games. Back before the internet was a thing, guys. Let me show my age real quick. When you made a game and you wanted to make more money, you had to make another game. And you made that game, and 2-3 years later you had another game, and 2-3 years later you had another game. We're all playing the same old games. Do you guys know how old Minecraft is? Minecraft is older than most of the people that play it.
Probably more older than most of my normal viewers, right?
Yeah,
but,
exactly. Minecraft is such an old game. Rocket League is such an old game.
Free to play.
Like and if we're not playing an old game, we're playing reskinned versions of an old game. Right? Overwatch is a super old game. Apex is a super old game. And we're just
I will
sitting
tell
here
you.
like,
I'll tell you a story of my. Well, actually, Morrowind was one of the first games that kind of treaded it. It was an expansion, right? They had expansions. You pay like $20 to $30. You got a huge amount of data of like information, and like you got a huge story, right? But Morrowind ruined it. That was the first start. Oh, you get an extra pay $30. You get a huge CD, another CD of stuff that's an add-on to the game or whatever. But that started the thought process, like, well, how else can we do this? And just keep adding on to these games and not release the full version and just add on later and make people pay for it.
mhm.
It just started. And I think that's the 2009.
So that's what, 11 years?
Oh,
10
goodbye,
12
Alex, by the
years.
way.
12 years.
12 years. And I think the thing is,
Oh, that's crazy. Anybody under the age of 12 playing Minecraft.
wait, what did Todd
is
Howard say? OG
younger than the
Craze,
game.
what did I say that he said? But I think the Morrowind was the original, and it kind of ruined it because it made that. But you're right though about these old games that we play are all just reskins, rehashes. It's all the same game with updated, and there's a couple games that have good concepts, but it's again nobody's funding these big from the IPs. Or my story I was going to say was SimCity. So I'm a huge SimCity fan. I've been playing it since 2000, or not the year 2000, but SimCity 2000, like the mid 90s. And I love those games. SimCity 4 actually didn't like as much as 3, which is weird, but I like 4. And then the new one came out. EA, right? They remember they had bought them, SimCity, or the Maxis. Maxis was a great developer. I mean, I can remember his name, head of Maxis, was a genius. Like pretty much everything he touched was gold. Because he did The Sims too. He started The Sims. I mean, look at that now too.
Mhm.
But what happened was SimCity, that 5 or whatever came out. It was online only.
Mhm.
And you had tiny little cities and you have to work with others and people were pissed. But they wanted
Mhm.
cash cow it. They wanted to make people online. You have to always be online for make sure you're not pirating the game and do all the other stuff, expansions, and it
Mhm.
just destroyed it's dead. Maxis is dead. The series of SimCity is completely dead. And that is such a great, even though it wouldn't be original ideas, it's a great like vertical, a great concept of a game, and they just killed it. Yeah, City Skylines,
Yep.
it doesn't have the same luster as SimCity, and they just destroyed it because of the greed. Like EA touches all these ones now, these studios touch all these smaller ones that have great ideas, and either you assimilate or you die. And that's probably the problem right now, is that the assimilation process is really just churn out the same shit because no one makes money.
Yep. You can go onto Steam right now and buy Skyrim and Skyrim DLCs and skins or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You have to pay for it. Skyrim came out in 2011. The game is 10 years old. 10 years, guys. Where were you 10 years ago?
Where were you? Yep.
Where were you 10 years ago? And you can still pay for that game. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. That game should be free. That's a legacy game at that point. People
Yeah,
that beat me in Rocket League are younger than that game.
I mean, it's an amazing game. See, that's the problem too. Is like, when is the last Elder Scrolls? That's been how many years? You've had how many years to make it? It's been over 10 years. That's like the iconic game, Skyrim, right?
If
You're
the new Elder Scrolls doesn't absolutely blow my mind out of the water, I will never buy another Bethesda title ever again. Are you
Yeah.
being innovative and taking your time on this game, or are you just being lazy or just doing stuff the hard way? Like, this thing better defy the law of physics.
I mean,
The
it better not have
audacity
bugs.
they would
right?
have to wait 15 years to give me a new Elder Scrolls title and call it game changing. If it does not defy the law of every expectation of a video game, I'm out. I will never wait for another Bethesda title again.
And I think the same thing about Starfield, like how much they've been hush hush and put into it, right? I mean, they've put so much into it lately, been saying like, oh, we're gonna be secretive. I mean, and they showed today. I'll be honest, I'm excited for it, but what it looked like the graphics of Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 really cleaned up.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah,
using
the
this.
teaser didn't get me excited.
No,
from
I
a
mean,
graphical standpoint.
It looked cool, like in the cockpit of whatever.
Daddy's home.
Oh, Jander with a raid here with 7.
Hey.
I appreciate you. All right, I'm gonna give a shout out to Jander. Want to know what you're playing?
All the Neanderthals.
You were playing Super Monkey Ball 2. Speaking of old
I thought he was
games,
playing
right?
Fall Guys.
Same thing. But we're talking
Oh,
about
that might be a AAA IP. I don't know if they went AAA or not. It definitely wasn't a big effort game.
What it was?
Which was what I was trying to conceptualize. Fall Guys. It
it's
was
not a
very
triple A.
successful
It was
game.
it's a small studio, but then they got absorbed and like, oh, this is a great idea. They sold their idea to a bigger studio.
By the way, new Raiders. We're talking. I'm sorry, this isn't my.
No.
turn, but I'm talking anyway.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
We've talked about a lot of stuff tonight, childhood traumas and dads in media and stuff like that. Right now we're talking about E3. And the original argument that I proposed before we got in this conversation was, what was the last big, well-funded AAA game project that was an original idea? And the only one that I could think of was the original Destiny, which was like 7 years ago.
Yeah, we're having trouble finding. And by the way, I'm Old Game Dad, OGD or Dad. This is my channel. This is an occasional Dad's DILP. Dads I Like the Podcast with our guest Official Claw, the Claw Official, excuse me. Go check him out. If you're not already following him, go follow him. Follow him, and then also subsequently me, because you're already here. Fortnite. You know what? Or PUBG. You know what though? Because what was the first real battle royale game? Don't say somebody's gonna say Minecraft when they had those battle royale games. You could do it, but that's actually a good point. Because
I don't. That's tough.
but you're right. But I think you're right though, because it's a free game now, right? And there's not a single player campaign really.
It was always free.
Right.
Fortnite was always free.
There's not a single player campaign. I mean, it's not that kind of game. It's just like some easy money. I mean, it innovative in this space because Battle Royale is new. But yeah.
Yeah. Fortnite, it was an IP. It was an original IP. For you guys that don't understand what that means, it's intellectual property. So original intellectual property. It was original idea is what we're saying, right? It was an original IP, but it wasn't a big effort game like the first Halo was, or Battlefield was, or Call of Duty was, or Destiny was, or Overwatch was. Like those were big effort games, and which is Fortnite was kind of just an accident.
I remember seeing
playing for.
Yep. I remember seeing the trailers and being kind of excited about it, but then it ended up being different than what I expected or thought it was going to be. Because there is like a single player like fight these zombies, but it just was like a tacked on. I remember at first it felt like you were going to like defend a base. I don't know if you remember from those original trailers. Like it looked like you were going to defend a base from attacking zombies or something. But it looked like it obviously changed.
Yeah, it just took off quite a bit, and it took advantage of that free. It was one of the early adapters of, take our big game for free, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the audience that they gained from all these kids being able to go on their Xbox and download Fortnite for free and play it, like that was just a huge untapped audience of people that are willing to touch your game without having to ask for mom's credit card,
Yeah.
And once they discovered that, they're like, oh shit. And now they're finding all these ways to monetize that huge audience. And which is Apex took the mantle off there. Like, okay, our game's gonna be free too. And now it's amazing how many games are free just to make them accessible to bait you into buying stuff for them.
Well, and then again, it ruins the game because all you get in the beginning is pretty much nothing. And then you gotta buy these. You gotta either grind your way up to something or buy. And I don't mind cosmetics only being purchasable, but when you can buy a better gun or something, then that just ruins it. I mean, it's so easy way to ruin games, but they don't care.
And Smurfs.
You're right.
To Wolf's
Great point.
By the way.
Oh,
to Wolf's point, Destiny did ride the coattails of Halo for sure.
mm-hmm.
They did design the game from the ground up, and it does take place in a different universe. So I wouldn't cop it in as a redesign. I would still say it was an original idea, and they had Easter eggs for Destiny in Halo ODST. If you go back, you can actually go find them, which is a little bit after Halo 3 came out, which was several years before Destiny came out. So it was a long-term project. I would still assign it the original IP, even if it did. They definitely learned off their experience.
I would, yeah, agreed.
From Halo, for sure.
It's very interesting take. Yeah, because I can't think of another game, and that kind of makes me like scared for the future of gaming. I kind of want to talk about, again, going back to the Starfield thing, because I'm sure you saw it. It looked like Fallout 4 76 graphically, and they have been using that same game engine for 15 years, I think. I think it was the same game engine they used for Fallout 3 in New Vegas, but they've been upgrading it. And it's, again, you just keep building on this old, and everybody thought, oh, they're going to do a brand new one for Starfield or Elder Scrolls, the new Elder Scrolls. And not for Starfield, it looks like. Yeah, in the cockpit, it looked nice pressing all the buttons. But then in some of the other scenes, it was obviously the same old engine. And it's, again, they're selling something, they're pushing it up, and it's probably not going to be, like, I just don't have high hopes much anymore for new games.
So they did plug it. They did plug the engine in the trailer. It's very small text, but it was in there.
Oh, was it?
And I think it's the second iteration of their creative engine. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Isn't that the same as their old engine?
It did say what engine it was. I remember it having a number 2, but I don't remember if that's the new one.
Next Gen Creative Engine 2, it says.
Yep.
I'd have to.
Nintendo shines there. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, Nintendo's always churning out new IPs. A lot of them aren't big, though.
What is the last big IP that they've put out there? Oh, it is a new and enhanced Creative Engine 2. I don't know. It still looked very similar to like a Fallout Vault at the beginning. I am not doing old man voice. I'm going to give you those back. Not
on a podcast.
Not on a podcast.
Audacity. The audacity.
You know better than that. I owe her something. I'll give her the points back. But this is the
Yeah,
old
it's a good
man voice, and
point.
that's all you get out of it. That's all you get
Oh my
out of
god,
it.
it's so good. That's so good.
My favorite, I think it was, I can't remember who was hit. It was Herc or somebody who was like, I got asked and I said, I'm Joe Biden. And that was it. And that was apparently hilarious to everybody. Well, new and original games, I like to think Nintendo shines. Ring Fit Adventure. See, that's not, that's like calling Wii Fit a AAA title. You can't say that.
I've never even heard of Ring Fit Adventure. Is that the
Exactly.
one where you have to buy the external
Yep.
thing?
Yep.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what,
so I
it's-
have heard of it.
The VR industry. Okay. Accessibility for game design is limited in VR because tech hasn't reached its peak yet. That's the main thing. In my mind, VR is still a gimmick because it's not fully there. It is still a-
bold word.
It is still a gimmick. Do we fit a
Do
story
you
mode?
have a VR headset?
Me, I don't. Can I play? I guess when a game comes out, well, you slay me. I don't. I disagree completely. I guess with the Skyrim, all these other games being re-released with VR, I can see that. But when
You
there's
have 3 VR users adamantly freaking out right now.
disagree
Sorry,
completely. When I mean, maybe it's starting to get there where it's not. Up until recently, it at least has been. But maybe with like Alex, it hasn't been. When they started doing like Skyrim, when you actually can do the full game, full capacity VR, sure, with the same coordination as a regular game, then it is the same. Then it's fine. But for most of it, it has been stuff like VR chat or random gun shooter that's kind of clunky. And that's been around for a long time, right? That's not worth it. That's just a fun gimmick. But when they start having full games on release, here's the VR version, great. Then it's the same level playing field. I direct you to Half-Life Alex. Yes, oddly, you're right. I said that. I think this is where they started to get to that point with VR. But until then, it was a complete gimmick. Because you couldn't just release a full game with VR. Or typically couldn't, unless it was old or something. I built my channel on
fucking
VR, but I
lame.
forgive you, Dad. Hitman 3 has VR. I think it's
fucking
getting
lame.
there. Go ahead.
What is
I
love?
don't believe
Baby, don't
VR.
hurt me.
We got a Dr. No Chill. Thank you for the subs. Appreciate you.
Hey, what's up, Doc? Good to see you.
What's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc? Yeah. So Doc's Discord picture is Bugs Bunny, which is low key fucking hilarious because people always say "What's up, Doc" when he hops into a stream, and he doesn't say anything about it. But I connected
right.
the dots the other day, and I felt really smart. I don't feel like VR is the future of gaming, and a lot of people think it is. I don't think it is, and I've used VR headsets, and they're really fun. Beat Saber's really fun. VR environments are really fun. All that good stuff, but like, there's something generally disarming about having your vision blocked, or not disarming, the opposite, whatever the opposite. There's something generally
Alarming?
uncomfortable, alarming about not being able to see and wearing this thing on your head. So it's not very good for long periods of time. And you can ask Otterly. He spent way too long playing Beat Saber, and it fucked him up for like the whole day. Right? And if you take out the comfort aspect of gaming, you suddenly reach a whole different place where you just don't want to be, right? Because gaming is very comfortable for a lot of us. You know, I've streamed for 9 hours, right? I could not wear a VR headset for 9 hours.
I gotta call out
Heat with
like
the raid.
Heat with a raid here, raid 7. Appreciate you, Heat. Appreciate you a lot. That's amazing. We're talking about gaming, E3, dad things, all of that. Really, right now, E3 and what is the future of gaming, as well as when is the last big AAA IP that had a AAA game that was an original concept.
So, like, was anybody excited about anything that happened at E3? Because I asked my Discord server and crickets. Like, did anybody see anything? They're like, oh, yeah, I can't wait for that.
But not here, Wolf Craze. You'll have to join the Discord. You're in my Discord, are you? Drop that socials if you're not, if you want to be chatted up. Anyways.
Halo multiplayer looks fire. So, Jander, I have to talk to you about this. When did 343 Studios develop a grappling kink? Because 50% of that trailer was the grappling hook.
The grappling hook
Like,
looks like amazing,
if
though.
not 70%. Pathfinder Simulator in Halo universe. Like what? It's by the 5th time they showed it, I was like, I get it. There's a fucking grappling hook. Like,
Right. But it looks really cool. But I was watching with Heat 2 on that part. Because Heat and I were watching that earlier, and that looked great. But we're also kind of saying, it seems like what was more exciting, as we got back to our point before, what was more exciting for the games, or was having Game Pass more exciting? And that's really interesting point. Like, yeah, the grappling hook, like, we just added something to this. I don't know. It's just they keep tacking on things to this IP, and at some point it's just not going to be enough. But they're just, again, it's shareholder vision, right? What's the next quarter? What's the next year? Not what's our 5-year vision.
Yeah.
And
Well, they're drawing games out, and one of the funniest things about it is Halo Infinite is literally set that expectation for you. I guarantee you that's the last Halo game 343 makes. It's Halo Infinite. We are going to drag this game out for the next 10 years, which is funny. But another thing about the Halo trailer is
Forza
they
5.
spent all this time. They spent all this time showing the mechanics of the game that are possible, that all these kids are getting excited for, which most of them will probably never do.
Yeah,
to like grapple somebody out of the sky in 360 no scope.
So
Like, these kids are never gonna do that.
That's so true. So we were talking about, he says Forza, which is great, and we were talking about that same thing.
Is a good one too.
And yeah, Back for Blood. We're talking about that with Halo. It's like, oh yeah, what my squad and I will never be able to do is with the showing in the game, right? I mean, that's true. Yeah, Forza 5 looked good.
$3,000 monitor. Did you see that? That was in the PC showcase.
Who saw
$3,000 monitor? A computer buys $3,000 monitor, plays Minecraft on it.
Utterly said they're making Rocket League and Forza pretty much, and he's right. They're doing a lot. They're doing all these like weird modes that are really interesting, but it's totally just out of the scope of what I expect in Forza, which is fine, but I don't know. It's, again, they're finding out, oh, we can't just keep making the same race car game. So what do we do?
Yeah. You know, something that I found really interesting was I'm actually a pretty big Forza fan. I used to play Forza 2, the original Forzas, not just the Horizons, but like the simulator versions.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I played a lot of Forza. I actually really like racing games. I just don't stream them.
Wait, is Stadia still alive? Stadia? But Squee mentions smart TV. So you have an app for your smart TV if you have an Xbox, so you can go from any Xbox to smart TV. But latency, right?
Yeah.
Latency, is the game from your Xbox or is the game from the app? Like, how does that work? Where is that house? I don't know enough about it. Educate me. Do you know about Claw?
No, I think I'm just jaded and old school. Like my Xbox will be hooked up to the TV. Like I don't have 10 bedrooms and fucking I'm not going to my friend's house and firing up. Like I have my controller in my bag. I didn't bring the Xbox, but I got my controller. You don't have an Xbox. We're gonna stream that. Like that's not
built
real life
into the
for me.
smart TV. Are they play the browser source streaming for Game Pass? As you get the game, I want to know how latency, how that is, because it works quite well because all the processing on the back. Like if I use my Elgato and I use the Elgato like app, which is there on for my desktop, I actually have latency because if I do that for baseball, I actually have latency. I have to go to like change my source on my actual my monitor, and I can't imagine they're going to be able to match that latency on something that you're streaming through your computer. So like there's going to be competitive games are just not going to be conducive if you want to be competitive on something like that.
Yeah. It'll be great for single player games.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, especially when it's latency isn't a thing, but you won't catch me streaming Knockout City to a smart TV.
Right.
That TV will have a hole in it.
They will for money. Yeah. And I guess it's the evolution thing, but like, what is the future of gaming? But then again, we're talking about concepts again. We are not talking about games, VR, Game Pass, streaming to whatever device you want.
Mm-hmm.
What game is like, name the game that you're like, I am going to be there at midnight for this game.
I can't wait for that. Yeah, the one that back in our day as our old man, we would wait in line at GameStop on launch day
Nothing
to
beats
pick up
that.
our pre-orders. Like, what game would you theoretically do that for? That was at E3. For me, right now, it's not any of them.
I mean,
And
like
still have to
maybe
catch up on the
Starfield for
highlights.
myself, but
But fucking Bethesda's telling us literally nothing about the game. Like, when
As
are
they
we gonna
always-
figure out what the game's actually like to play? Like the day before it comes out?
I guess Elden Ring. I would agree with Otterly. I've never played Dark Souls
Is,
games.
is that a Dark Souls like
Type.
reskin?
It's it's a type. It's
Okay,
different.
so it's like a third person parry fighting hard ass single player.
Larcenauts, or do you mean Psychonauts? I'll be playing the shit out of that. Elden Ring looks good though. Like it looks George R. R. Martin, I think it was like doing story or something with that. It looks very interesting. I don't think I would midnight release it, but I could see why a lot of people would, because it's been hyped up for so long. It's from Larcenauts. It's a VR title, but again, I guess for me it would just be Starfield. I haven't seen too much. Again, I'm waiting on Tuesday for Nintendo. For me, it was Bethesda today, and Nintendo is what I cared about. That's, as I've gotten older, I've gotten more jaded about what games I care about, and less like, I know Nintendo, even if it's not an original IP, they're just gonna knock out of the park. When was the last time Nintendo put a shitty Mario out? I mean, they don't do that. But when's the last time a shitty Battlefield's been put out, or a shitty Call of Duty? The question is, when was the last time a good Call of Duty came out?
Did you finish the Outer Worlds 1?
Oh, okay. He caught me. He got me. No, he's probably saying it for me. He's right. I'll be there. I'll buy that immediately. Outer Worlds 2. I love Outer Worlds
Did you
1.
like Outer Worlds?
Oh, I love that game.
So you're a big fan of that genre, that Fallout,
Yeah,
Mass
absolutely.
Effect, Outer Worlds type. Did you ever play KOTOR? Apparently, we're getting a KOTOR remaster.
I do. Wait, what?
Yeah.
No, I
It's,
love Knights of the Republic. I have it on like
yeah,
8
Knights of the
devices.
Republic's getting a remaster. I will play the fuck out of that remaster. And it's funny how I'm sitting here complaining that there's no well-funded original ideas, but damn, I'd play the fuck out of a KOTOR remaster.
Yeah, so apparently we're getting that. That's amazing. Also, I'm gonna call Otterly out for seeing shitty Mario. You've seen New Super U. New Super U. It's just the side-scrolling Mario's. That's different. But 3D Land? 3D Land's great. Especially the new 3D Land with the Bowser's Fury is amazing. I don't know what you're drinking. But Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, enjoyed what I played
I think
of it.
Black Ops 2 was the last good Call of Duty, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love Black Ops 2. That was pretty much where I kind of fell off after that.
I'm
3D
gonna
Land
stand by
is-
the statement that streaming
I
Modern
like 3D
Warfare,
Land.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare is chuggy. It's
He is
chuggy.
here. It is Chugi. Like Call of Duty in general is Chugi, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of one of those like, oh, that your dad plays that game. That's that game. It is now. Like most of the people I work with are like, 30s and 40s, and they're like, me and my buddies playing Call of Duty and drinking Mountain Dew at night. But like
I
Dr. Chugs.
I will
okay.
say this. I have the same type of hope for Battlefield 2042 as I did for Rise of Skywalker. It's that hope that like maybe they'll turn it around. Maybe they'll go back to their roots and incorporate all the things that made the original Battlefields great. But I'm ready to be disappointed. I'm ready to be disappointed.
I love, yeah, me too. It looks good from the trailer, but I love Corndog's comment. I would kill for Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer remaster. Exactly. You have exactly
do that?
pinpointed. Well, I would kill for a remaster. I would kill for
you
a
know what
new
I
IP.
hated?
I would kill for a new one. Also, U was the same thing in the Wii and the DS one. Land, I like Super Mario Land on the D. I like the DS one, but U, I never played that. I didn't have. Who bought a Wii U? Come on. But Logic Crack, Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 are not nearly as bust as you are. Battlefield 1 is actually good. That's a good game. I like that because they went back to the 1942 kind of route, but obviously World War One. Battlefield 5, not a fan. Nervous because it's a Wii U. But you were saying, Claw, go ahead.
I was just reading Heat's comments. He's getting salty. He must have been playing Rocket League before he raided you.
He definitely was
Um,
in the shout out, yeah.
What was I saying? Oh, you know what really upset me is in the Halo 5, or not Halo 5, I get them all mixed together.
Yeah.
The Halo Infinite multiplayer trailer the map that they showcased was Valhalla from Halo 3.
Hey, remember
Like,
this?
just
Yeah.
goes to prove the point. It's like, have a fucking original idea. The Bungie passing on Halo to 343. I don't know if any studio could have really taken the mantle, but 343 didn't do it very well. You take that from the biggest previous Halo stan in existence, dude. I spent my childhood playing Halo. Like, I blame my whole claw grip on that game. Like,
Right.
yeah.
So-
Rocket League 2, no. Rocket League 2 is never going to come until people stop spending money on Rocket League 1.
StarCraft, yes. Okay, Jander said Naraka Blade Point. I don't know that game, but I will also mention, he says, Heat being so salty, I'm about to already install that shit. And I love that he got dad botted on that exact comment. The salt of that, too. Has to be hilarious. And
I'm ready to uninstall that shit. I'm dead.
I don't know anything about Naraka boats in Rocket League. Boats. Where my StarCraft at? I love StarCraft back in the day. I played the shit out of that game. Or remember Red Alert? Jeez.
Yeah,
man.
Command and Conquer
Command
with
and
the
Conquer?
unreasonably busty Soviet female commanders.
Yeah, my 12-year-old selves remember that very
Good
fondly.
times. Good times.
Look at my Docket League. Oops. I don't know. I mean, yeah, Rocket League Mobile, Pocket League, or whatever. I mean, again, you're right. I just can't get. We're old. I don't know. We can't be old though, because that's just happening to everybody. Again, it's like something 7. I mean, even original games like Psychonauts, right? It's now Psychonauts 2. And that's an original IP back in the day, concept, right, for a platformer. It was a great platformer. So I find it very interesting that's the case now.
Yeah, the trailer for The Last Jedi was pretty hyped too, but every time I watch it, I hate it more and more.
Oh
I
god.
don't watch it anymore.
but Heat,
when I do my watch throughs of Star Wars, I just skip it.
What is more exciting to you, Heat? Having the games on Game Pass and not having to pay for every game, or the games themselves? Journey. Oh, but that wasn't a AAA title. Journey is a great game on PlayStation. Game Pass 100%. See, he answered that question. Enjoy the Xbox One today. Square
I'm
Enix can
excited
fuck off with the
about the way
conference.
I'm excited about the way I get to pay Xbox, not the actual content they're making.
Right. I can play all these old games and stuff. Guardians of the Galaxy?
Does it? I didn't catch that trailer, and I've heard several people say it looks pretty sweet, but I'm not a big Marvel stan, so I couldn't really say.
Have a good night,
whether or not
Doc.
I'd have a good opinion.
See you later, Doc. Have a good one. Appreciate you being here. But I think that's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of games that I don't know. That makes me more jaded for anything, even if it's a new IP. I mean, I don't have a lot of trust. There's been a lot of IPs that have came out supposed to be big deals and they just flop.
Heat's got a good point there. He's got a good point in that it gives him the opportunity to explore new games
That's
he
true.
otherwise would not have played. That's a very valid point.
And I wonder if they're doing that.
I won't even counter argue. You're just right.
That's true. I wonder if they're doing that, if they're smart about doing that, because, well, if we get people to play different IPs and they like that game and there's 3 new versions of that game, then we may have hooked somebody for that game. Or for that, we're expanding the breadth of the audience of what they like.
Mm-hmm.
Half the conference showing Guardians just like, what? Is that my? Anyways.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, you didn't. It must have been my side. But anyways, I mean, games. I mean, is it just we're old? Do you keep up with the games? Are you with it? Yes. And I want to say that are you with it is, when did you start playing games? Because my parents never played games. So I had to get into gaming myself. And I think that's kind of rated where I am, because I notice a lot of my friends now obviously play games with their kids because I have older friends. I don't know if Claw, you had any family that played games with you as when you were a kid. I do know that at least you had a brother.
I played games as early as I can remember. I probably picked up my first controller and handled it when I was 4 years old. It's always been in the family.
Did you
thanks to
claw
my
grip it
brother.
at 4 too?
No, the Nintendo controllers didn't really have a need for claw grip. Although I was on those bumpers. Yeah, there wasn't a second analog stick there. Maybe isn't the Nintendo 64 controller to blame for my claw grip? I don't know.
Because it has a weird middle stick
Yeah, that was the
and the
weirdest
C
control. I
buttons.
can't
Oh,
believe
that is the
Nintendo
weirdest.
got away with that.
Well, it worked perfectly for it, but
I spent a lot of my time watching my brother play video games. A lot of my time, and I got to enjoy the story of the video game without actually having to play it. But I have early fond memories of sitting behind him, watching him play Super Mario, or watching him play Earthbound, or watching him play all the old Square Enix RPG, JRPG type titles.
It-
I didn't actually play Earthbound myself until I was in my 20s, but I didn't
Really?
need to. I had watched him beat it so many times. It was like I was there. It's like the only thing is my hand wasn't on the controller.
so you never played Earthbound until then?
Yeah, not that I can remember. Maybe I did, but not. I definitely wouldn't have finished it.
My brother and his friend played Earthbound, and I don't know if they beat it, if I recall. I think they did. I watched them here and there, but I tried to play it, and I was like, I don't know. When it came out, I was maybe 8, something like that, or 7 or 8, and I never beat it back then. I didn't beat it until maybe 15 years ago or something, because I just put it down, but it was my favorite game. I always ended up playing it, or I played it a couple times when I was a little bit older, every year or so, or whatever, and then finally just ended up finishing it and beating it. But I always loved the game. I love the Final Fantasy games back then, but I don't like them as much now. It takes too much time commitment for a story that seems kind of washed and typical, prototypical.
Yeah.
Like I'm notorious for starting games and not finishing them, because I play 30% of a game, like I get it, I know what's happening, blah 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 blah. It doesn't keep me hooked. Not exciting. It's the same old, same old. But Mario games I always played, Duck Hunt. If you ever play Super Smash Brothers, if you notice when they have the Duck Hunt character, they put a giant pause between the word duck and hunt, because if the announcer says Duck Hunt, it sounds really dirty. Roller Coaster Tycoon. I loved those games. Utterly, you have to finish Earthbound. You have to. But yeah, you're right.
I could see. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
By the way, guys, we are reading your chats because we're both streamers and we're just used to doing that. It's just hard to insert them sometimes in
Yeah.
the conversation. So nothing's being ignored. We're just kind of like we're
Right.
talking, and we have to like try and insert stuff. It's very different than just being one streamer where you can just and like speed read everything and talk about it.
By the way,
When
Wolf
you have
Craze,
two
have
people-
a good night, Wolf Craze. Appreciate you being here.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Oh,
But have you ever picked up a retro video game that you played a long time ago and played it now? And you're like, this game is hard as fuck. Like, why is this game so hard? Like, I blew through this game when I was a kid. You know, maybe I just didn't care as much when I died, but like now as an adult, sometimes I'll pick up a game and be like, I played Sonic on stream a while back,
Oh.
and I got to like the second or third level, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Right? So
Yeah.
like I could see how it could be hard for Otterly to pick up Earthbound and finish Earthbound because you don't have the same sense of wonderment, you know, that you did as we did as a kid. So I could see it pretty hard to pick up. You know?
I'm gonna argue with Heat, saying modern games are too easy, made too easy. One word, Cuphead. So moving on, as my point is proven correct.
Most modern games
Most modern
are made
games.
too easy.
Well, or maybe
Oh,
the old
my
games are too hard. Because think of like Donkey Kong Country, the classic, right? I always love using that. That game sucks because it was great for the time. Now as a platformer, that game is hot garbage because you can jump and get hit with the hitboxes are terrible. I mean, just every concept of the game, it makes no sense. Like the hitbox, like nobody touches you and you die. But it was super hard and everybody loved the game. I'm like, what 7-year-old mind can beat this game or any Mario? I mean, this is intense. And games are easier because it was like there was no intro. It was just told you like, hey, just do shit. Like my kids will play some of these games. Like, yeah, what do I do? I'm like, yeah, just do it.
However, I don't know, just go do it.
Yeah.
Well, you always had like the game guide if you were like, you know, a privileged kid. You had Nintendo Power telling you what to do, or you could call the number on the back of the SNES and a Game Pro would, you know,
Lion
talk to you.
King
We never
game.
did
Oh
that.
shit, yeah.
Oh my god, that game was so fucking hard.
Oh man.
But as kids, we didn't care as much. For some reason, as an adult, if I'm dying in Lion King, I'm like, man, fuck this shit, I'm out. Like, as a kid, I'd be like, all right, I guess I gotta restart in Lion King. Aladdin was surprisingly hard on the SNES. Lion King was surprisingly hard. And then games on like the PlayStation, like the Ninja Gaiden, that game was so hard.
This
The
meant to be really
tutorial
hard.
level
Yeah,
was
yeah.
hard.
Those games are
But there are modern games like Cuphead, Dark Souls, games that are hard in and of their nature.
like Celeste and
Have you ever
stuff like
played
that.
Dark Souls?
Me? I have
Yeah.
not, and I'm supposed to. Utterly is going to help me through that. I think that'll be a great co-stream idea. So, because he loves Dark Souls, I love the concept of it, and I'm very like I like those kind of games, but I've never actually picked it up. Hollow Knight. Oh my God, Hollow Knight. Metroid.
People that never really got into Metroid.
Okay, I will say this. I didn't either because it pisses me off. I like Hollow Knight better. Original, like old Metroids, Hollow Knight does better, but everybody loves Metroid, of course. But that game is the absolute nightmare for a kid because it has two things, three things. It tells you nothing about the game and makes you backtrack like crazy. Like it's part of the game. You have to backtrack and remember what you did. Oh, like now I have this power up, so I can open this door to can progress. And it tells you nothing though about where to go from that progression, and you die quick. So it is entirely like a defeatist game that gives you no help whatsoever. Like Hollow Knight might give you no help, but it gives you a little bit of lead, like an idea. It's a little more straightforward. That game, Metroid, is just like completely like the side-scrolling ones. It's just you're just gonna sit here for 8 hours, like opening every fucking door. And like, wait, I can put a bomb on this block and then I can roll through here and it'll let me go through. No idea. How would you do that without looking it up?
I think Corn Dog's telling you the music stopped. Maybe
Of course,
is that what that music emote means?
I have no idea what
Mine
it keeps
started. Mine has started stopping now too. My Spotify because we're in a Discord call.
right.
And it thinks I'm trying to cheap out and give you music or something, which is weird. Yeah, Aladdin was surprisingly hard. Paperboy, wow, Java, you are showing your age. Have you ever played Paperboy?
I love Paperboy, but that's
Or
so hard.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Oh yes.
That was a hard one. My brother and I used to play that one. That one we never beat it. We got pretty far, but we never beat it.
Grilled cheese, appreciate
Grilled
you.
cheese.
Good night, grilled cheese. Appreciate you. Yeah, get some sleep. Absolutely.
But
And
yeah, those games were. It was Code Claw. Don't give it away. I'm sorry. He wasn't. I don't know if he picked up on.
I
it.
don't think I did. I appreciate that though.
I can't hear it because I'm obviously.
I
not
don't
listening to
notice
us
it because
here.
we're just
I'm
talking
listening
away.
to us here.
But you mentioned
Yeah.
another game, Sonic. So that new Sonic, did you say like the new Sonic that came out, like kind of like a remastered like homage?
There was a
It's-
new Sonic.
Yeah, like it was a side scrolling. It was like the Sonic. I can't came out for a bunch. I can't remember what it's called now. And I
Last one I played was on the Dreamcast.
it was. Oh no, but you said you played it on stream. I thought you had played it. I have to find what it. what
Oh
it
yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah. I played Sonic 2 on stream. I
It
didn't
was
play
Sonic
retro.
Mania.
I went retro.
Mania. Yes,
Mm.
Otterly's right. And I played. I was like, oh, it should be better or being updated or whatever. No, they made it like the original. I'm like, this shit is hard as fuck. It was insane. And I forgot how hard that game is. I'm like, I go here and then I can't. And then I see people like going through crazy. I'm like, and the game is almost so hard that it wasn't that fun after a couple levels. Like it was just hard to
Official
get
fan
through.
games.
What official videos?
Fun fact about Sonic. I don't know if you know this. Sonic, his creation was intentional. He was intentionally created. But okay, I'm done. Sorry, I don't want to trigger anybody. He was intentionally created. Sega brought in an American CEO and brand specialist to design a character to be cooler than Mario. He was an attack on Nintendo, and on all fronts, Sega did everything right. Right? He was a cool character. The system was more capable. It had better audio. It had better graphics. Right? When it came to the Sega Genesis, but they did two things wrong. One, their heart wasn't in the right purpose. Their objective was to beat Nintendo. Nintendo's objective was to make great games.
Right.
Two, Nintendo had so many titles. And Sega had like a bunch of shitty sports titles that nobody played. And then they had Sonic and then like a couple of cool cross-platform titles. But like Nintendo's heart was in the right place. They didn't care about Sega. They just want to make great games.
I do remember that
Sega
too,
wanted to
because
beat Nintendo.
all the advertisements of the time too for Sega were like how cool Sega is versus Nintendo, and we're like the better system, and we're cool. There was like literally calling out how cool they are for Sega, like buy Sega, whatever. We're the cool.
And we've kind of come full circle here, because remember at the beginning of this podcast we talked about how back in the day, you know, cool was a thing, and then now it's
Yeah,
not. Like, it's
absolutely.
cool to be uncool. But back in the day, like, if you were cool, that's how you sold stuff, right? Kids wanted the cool character.
The guy with the sunglasses, right? You wanted the guy with the sunglasses and Joe Cool or whatever, and that's how they sell cigarettes. I
selling
mean,
you video games.
yeah, right. But yeah, that was it. That was the whole concept. I think speaking of that great segue and closure, Claw, I think that will carry us out through the night. I'll say I appreciate you being here. It's been I'll give a shout out to Thundurga too. He is
Mhm.
he had to leave a little earlier, but Thundurga is a great
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
all right, Otterly, thank you for the sub. Apology accepted.
Apology accepted.
But yeah, I appreciate that. Thundurga, great. Go follow him. If you don't follow Thundurga, go follow him. He's a great streamer, great person, great talk, great dad. Yes, good stuff, guys. Thank you, Tiberius. As well as the Claw. If you don't follow the Claw, thanks for the bits. Go follow
That's how
him.
I said
He's a
thank you.
great streamer. I'm gonna do the live dream here drop because we're all part of that live dream team, if you will, and it's a you have this is what we get, right? We get all this collaboration, we get all this the studio mode that you saved me. It's great. I appreciate it. But thanks for being here, Claw. I hope you had a great time. Obviously I'll see you again soon, but from the neck down, of course. But if
I had
ever
an amazing time.
yeah,
It felt great because it just felt like we were talking, and I consider you a good friend, so it's good to have some time to talk to a good friend and
Well-
a couple people to be able to add to our little conversation here as well.
absolutely appreciate it. Yeah, likewise to you, a good friend. Everybody out there too is all part of the family. Great people too. So, well, everybody have a good evening. Thanks for coming. Thanks for staying. Thanks for watching the show. We're not going to do obviously a normal ending, but Claw, see you on the flip. Everybody have a nice night and get some sleep and take care. And utterly, except for you, hopefully you actually get some sleep now because
Are
it's
we
6 in the
rating?
morning.
Are we not rating?
Oh my gosh, are we rating? That's right. We can rate, right?
Oh, always rate. Always rate.
I can't believe I forgot.
I never hit that like stop streaming button. Like, oh, always rate.
I've actually accidentally in one of my I hit the I forgot I hit stop streaming after a raid and it was like 20 minutes. I was just like on my computer. Who
Oh,
gonna
you know
raid?
what's funny? If you guys ever want to have some fun, you got way too much time on your hands. Go to any streamer's stream that has rated somebody and go to their VOD and watch the VOD at the very end after they've rated. Because if they did what OGD just said, they left it up, then that VOD still gets recorded while they're streaming.
That's what happened to me. I had
It
to like
does.
yeah.
I had to delete a VOD once because I was like, my face was like all over the VOD. I'm like, oh god. I'm like, no. Terrible.
All right, who's got any ideas? Who let's raid out there. Yes, that is
Well,
the
we know
raid.
Wax on. Whack is always a good raid, right?
Whack is always a good raid.
Let me see if there's anybody even remotely close to what we were talking about.
Corn Dog,
This
I
was
don't have a
unique
raid too, because if
experience.
you're not sub to me, I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Then get good.
Yes, right. We got Boba
is
is
there anybody
on.
in just chatting doing anything interesting?
Yeah, let's check that
Fire
out.
up some Twitch here real quick. Maybe some new friends. We like making new friends.
We sure do.
I'm gonna go to just chatting. I'm sort low to high.
That's always fun.
That's got to be a weird area.
Corn
right?
Dog, I need
Oh,
a.
you can't sort low to high in just chatting. I forgot about that.
Oh, really? Why? Why is that? Corn Dog, we
It
gotta
just
add
doesn't
that.
let you.
I gotta add that too as the non. That's a good one. OGD raid. There we go.
I'm gonna go deep into the scroll here and see if I can find like a low viewer just chatting.
I think I'm already on Streamlabs because fans. We'll add that. Raid 2.
I could
There you go.
search too. I guess I could search podcast if I wanted to. Just chatting is a weird place on Twitch. If you spend some time just looking through here and looking at stuff, oh, I recognize this girl from TikTok.
Yeah, there's
That's
a lot
good
of
marketing,
weird.
people. That's good marketing. When I'm scrolling through just chatting and I recognize you because you made a TikTok, you did a good job.
It's true. What about this guy's wearing no shirt?
Homeless where the heart is? Is this guy homeless? No.
Who is this? How far down are you? I feel like
He's
we're
got a
getting to
lot
the
of
dark side of
followers.
YouTube.
There. Have you ever seen the subreddit Deep into YouTube?
Oh yeah. And some of these are odd.
Chat, feel free to explore with us and make sure to stick around for the raid. You get 250 channel points for participating. And we all know you want those sweet, sweet dessert treats.
See, I'm still learning things from Claw to remember to say things like that at the end of my stream.
That way people don't just start,
Leaving.
jumping out as soon as you say that.
You get those channel points and you can make me say stupid stuff in a weird voice like Game Life tried to do during this stream. Family points.
I've got a couple saved up.
I got rid of the food one because people were just doing nothing and just waiting for food. And we were scared we were going to have like 15 people at one time. Who we got? I'm starting to go down to low teens and we're getting weird.
You know what I can do? Hold on. Sully Gnome has a raid finder
Oh, you're right. I'll just do that.
tool. And I can look up your profile, look up on raid finder, and find somebody within a certain parameter. And we're going to sort by just chatting instead. Search.
You're already there.
Yeah.
So average viewers between. That doesn't.
Oh, this has really high current viewers. I do not want really high current viewers.
Yeah, why does everybody have all these really high? It's just it's sorted by that. Let's see. A lot of Fortnite Overwatch people. Oh, a Rocket League one and Warzone. Are these people just chatting?
I'm gonna sort out by just chatting instead.
That's what I was doing too, and it does not show people who were just chatting.
Who's Dog Dad? Wow. Stealing Doggy Dad's username, huh? This person's playing League of Legends.
Yeah, I know. I think that was just chatting. I'm like, this person's playing Fortnite.
They just have the wrong thing set, I guess. No wonder they don't have any viewers. I guess I'll have to check the thumbnails to see if people are actually doing what
That's what I was doing.
they're doing.
Yeah, and it does not look.
This person has a bong rip counter.
Oh my god.
It says bong rip.
Who is that?
score.
Who is that? Who is that?
IPOAKIKO.
IPOAKIKO.
Bong rip 420 art party. It's not 420.
Maybe it's 420. 420 p.m.
That is too nice of a microphone for you to be doing bong rips on it.
Are we doing it? Might as well.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think it's a good rate.
This is tougher than I thought to find something new in just chatting.
Well, we can always take recommendations from chat as well.
Yeah, any recommendation from chat out there will be.
It'd be cool if there was somebody covering like E3 content.
It would be nice if they were doing that and we could find somebody. I think that's the problem with Twitch. It's so much harder for just chatting. I mean, there's special events right now. I think a lot of people are doing it under special events.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I'm
Yeah.
surprised because I follow so many people. I'm amazed I don't have somebody on deck. But it is a Sunday,
It's true.
so that doesn't help. Ooh, what is this person doing? What? Whoa, what is this person doing? Stand by.
How was somebody? We're just watching dogs. They're literally watching dogs, and it's under special events. Okay. Who else we got? We'll do.
Oh, Whack Panther is doing his crossword streams, and his crossword streams are lit.
You know what? We'll do that. It's harder than we're just chatting than I thought it would have to end up being.
Damn, why was that so hard?
Well, because I think it's just
Why-
chatting. There's like a million people doing just chatting.
Yeah.
And I think usually when you do a game like Rocket League or whatever, it's a little easier to scroll through and load a high. And you get a better read. Whereas just chatting can be anything. You know what I mean? And also just chatting can be a ton of people who forgot to change it back over.
That's true. That's true.
That was like half of them when I saw. All right, so we're gonna raid Whack. We'll get there. Everybody said screw the family points, but still appreciate all 6. Corn Dog, appreciate you and the rest of everybody who's fallen asleep. Appreciate it, except and Otterly because he's obviously still here too. But and Game Wife too. Game Wife just said and me, but not in the chat. No, but yeah, it was a great call. This was a lot of fun, but appreciate it. Hearing about your life too, all of that was great. So, but it is time for me to get my sleep as well.
It is, guys. Thank you guys for everything. I appreciate you. Have a great night.
Yeah, everybody have a good evening.
Take care of Whack for us.
Corn Dog, we enjoyed your stay as well. Yeah, Whack is some great content for sure. All right, I think I'm just gonna click that button because everybody seems to be ready. You know.
All
right. Good night, everybody.
The anticipation.
Until-